And with that, I will start recording. All right, so I now call to order the meeting of September 14th, 2020. Would the Deputy Speaker please call the roll?
Yes, Senator Arden Arkin.
Present.
Senator Baker.
Here.
Senator Belay.
Present.
Senator Hawk.
Here.
Senator Cosme.
Here.
Senator Leong.
Here.
Senator Liverpool.
Here.
Senator Nadeem.
Here.
Senator Shangasa.
Here.
Senator Ramirez.
Here.
Senator Rogers.
Here.
Senator Salimi.
Here.
Senator Tome.
Here.
And Senator Tulloch.
Here.
All 14 present.
All right, so we're now going to sing the Genesee. For the interest of everyone who is going to have to listen to this afterward, please mute yourself so we don't have tons of people singing over each other. Full many fair and famous streams beneath the sun there be, yet more to us than any seems our own dear Genesee. We love her banks and stately falls, for to our minds they bring our dear old alma mater's halls, where sweetest memories cling, as flows the river gathering force along her steadfast way. May we along life's devious course grow stronger day by day, and may our hearts wherever we roam forever loyal be to our beloved college home beside Tennessee. All right, we'll now move into open forum. So this is a time where anyone from the student body, any senator is able to share information, ask questions, anything like that. This is an open period. I will say we're going to try to cap this at around 30 minutes for all the different conversations that we might have to have. And with that, I will yield to Senator Tome.
Yes, hello all. I'm so sorry, I just ate something and now I need to cough. Not ideal on a live stream, but I wanted to follow up on our conversation from 2 weeks ago during open forum. I have read through the Senate agenda, and I know that the executive leadership has put something on the agenda during their updates about our conversation about communication collaboration with SA leadership, specifically executive leadership, but I do think that should be a separate conversation held during open forum. So I would like to ask President Gorka or Vice President Haddad for any updates they might have and the concrete action plan that they promised us. Thank you.
Can I respond to that?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So yes, as Leah mentioned in the executive section, there's updates on the communication plan and links to a presentation that me and Mark created to sort of break down the action agenda items. So something we actually have also worked on is a Google document with more of a breakdown in some of the ideas more flushed out. I'd emailed the senators, I believe it was Friday, and the follow-ups are still going to happen because I do want, this is like an initial sort of action agenda item, and I do want to get feedback from senators on anything more that we can do or any other changes within that that we can implement. I kind of want to wait till the executive updates to be able to do the presentation. Xander, unless you want to begin with that, we can. I don't mind.
Ultimately, this was Senator Tome's question. So I'm happy to yield to Senator Tome to answer whether you're looking for more than what's been answered.
Yeah, I would like to hear or see the presentation now so that it doesn't get buried in all the updates you might have later, that we can discuss this separately.
Point of inquiry.
Yep, Senator Baker.
Since this was on the agenda to do anyway, does it factor into the 30 minutes of open forum?
Yes, so this would count towards the 30-minute time. If senators or others from the student body have other points to share, then I would recommend that you share those points of open forum first. And then the conversation is not necessarily limited during updates. I would bear in mind that we do have people here who are ready to be confirmed or are otherwise on the agenda for more pressing things. But I know that this is a really important issue that senators would like to discuss. So if we can do it combination open forum and updates, or just during updates or just during open forum, it's up to you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on that, or have, I'm happy to open up the presentation if that's the plan.
May I motion to do a vote by unanimous consent if we go into this presentation? I don't have a preference, so that's what but like, just in case someone does, just like just go ahead and like unanimous to make it official that we're all okay with it.
I think I'm fine with the presentation being during open forum, unless somebody has something else to discuss too. Like, I think we can do the presentation if everybody else is all right with it too.
So I'm gonna ask that we not go into a motion, but if there's anyone who wants to speak specifically on the question of whether or not to have this during open forum or to have it during updates, it sounds like the plan is to do it during open forum. So in that case, I'm happy to open up the presentation. So we'll just say, is there any dissent? You can raise your hand and I'll yield to you. All right, I will open up the presentation.
Perfect. And is this going to be with the 3-minute timer, or do I have a time limit?
So okay. All the speakers on the speakers list will have the 3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So just to preface this, the presentation is included on the agenda because I don't think I'm going to be able to go through all of it entirely. So if anybody wants to reference it after Senate, feel free. Also, something that I mentioned in my introduction of it is we're going to be taking this next week to really touch base with people and follow up on some of the points to see again what we can improve, what can be changed. We have a lot of individual points to address the concerns that were brought up last week that were kind of outlined in the presentation.
President Gorka, I'm just going to ask, I don't see it on the agenda. Is there a different space?
I added it as a comment. Let me double check 1 sec. Sorry about that. Oh, I thought I added it as a comment. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. Give me a second. Okay, and that's the editor access. So do you see it? Okay, perfect. Okay, so just to preface this again, we didn't want to come empty-handed nor with the proposal half-baked. So these are from conversations we had within leadership at our advisors, and then also I used my connections with other student government leaders in New York State to sort of see what they did for their student government to try to see if I can apply some of those, communication and operation initiatives to strengthen relations. So to, I guess, go to the next slide real quick. These are like the main points that we saw that we needed to change essentially within the executive operations with the rest of SA. So that's bold pointed out. I'm not going to go into it just because of sake of time, but feel free to check up on this later. And again, with the follow-ups, we'll make sure to address. So we can go to the next slide. There's like 11 slides, so trying to be cognizant of time. Thank you. So with the action agenda item, we essentially broken into 2 parts. Essentially values and then also tangible checks. So think more mechanisms we can put in place to assure the communication values follow through and to essentially put more accountability and transparency on the executive moving forward. So we can work cohesively with the rest of SA and all productively work towards improving campus life. So we can go to the next slide. Tangible mechanisms, okay. So one thing is we want to reestablish jurisdiction. So something executives are going to be doing is phasing out of the summer initiatives. Some of them mentioned here. The whole purpose is to let individuals really grow in their leadership role as we are ourselves into this semester. So we're going to be shifting gears and having those conversations in those groups in the coming week. We can go to the next slide. Okay, and then as for this, we want to be respectful of senators' times, of executive cabinet's time. So we will not be reaching out to people outside of steering and Senate, in the sense that we want to give people the autonomy and have like, what is it, the sense of trust that people are accomplishing their goals on their timelines. So we'll be utilizing Xander as like a main communication link. Otherwise, we'll probably be communicating with chairs, especially when in the case of overlap and further discussion, which I'll have in other slides. I don't want to get too much into it to not waste time. Yes, thank you. So communication in the future. This is a follow-up from the last points, essentially making sure that any sort of correspondence we're getting from administration, anytime we're reaching out to a department that has a close relationship with a particular chair, or if another senator is working on an initiative, we're making sure to CC folks so we can all be in the loop and informed about communications going on, so nobody's getting looped in last minute and we're trying to catch up retroactively. We don't want to offend, and we want to respect, the relationships that individuals within SA have already established within administration. So, again, and as executive, the precedent is we have projects and we address overarching concerns. So to kind of now go into the next point, this was a conversation we had with leadership about essentially communications and how to go about getting feedback, as well as making sure that anytime we're representing SA on overall front, we're making sure that we're presenting it well. So you can actually go into the next slide. Oh, we only have 4 seconds now.
I would like to motion to extend her time.
So I see that you've raised your hand, so I will yield to, I believe, Senator Tome, you had your hand up first. Please note that the motions happen during the new business time. So if there's something that you want for the open forum, then please just ask and I'll try to grant it. But rather than go through the formal motion process, which takes a lot of time. Senator Tome?
Could I just yield to Justina and then get back on the speakers list right after? So I yield my 3. Sure.
Yeah, you can yield your 3 minutes to Justina. But I would prefer to keep it, in fairness to everybody on the speakers list, to have it be 3 minutes. And then, if the 3 minutes expires and there's no one else, then you could get on the speakers list again.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll make sure to be cognizant of the time, just because I tried to keep this within 3 minutes. It's just a lot of information. That's why I wrote out the points a little bit more so people can look into it a little bit. And same with the Google Doc, it provides more of a breakdown. But anyways, for communications moving forward, so things that aren't confidential, we want to make sure we're getting SA official involved. So keep updating, Xander and your chairs on projects you're working on, so that we're also aware of what departments you're talking to. And then if we get looped in on something, we can also share that as well. We can go to the next slide. Okay, transparency. So something we're going to be doing is updating the executive Google Drive with any summer documents that might have been written up during the span of those 4 months that we were outside of the academic calendar. So, people can look into any initiatives or meetings that had happened during that period. Also, okay, this is a point that I was beginning to discuss before the time cut off. So something that we've been discussing more is getting input outside of leadership on matters that affect all of SA. So one, and something that we did Friday was with committee appointments, reaching out and really outlining the charters and things and seeing who from, within senators, the executive cabinet would be interested in taking roles. Is this a presentation on SA official? It's a presentation on executive communications and operations, but it's in reference to relations. So SA official can be vaguely any, legislative executive essentially. Anybody that had concerns. Perfect. Okay. So then, yeah. And then as for the newsletter, that's something Isha's going to go more into on the executive updates. That's also something that we want to help with transparency, not just, on an internal front, but also external, letting the student body know what we're doing. Statements. This is something that we also experimented with the Daniel Prude statement, seeing, getting feedback from individuals outside of leadership on things that, may potentially overlap. So with the Daniel Prude statement, we reached out to some senators that had been involved in Black Lives Matter petition points to get their perspective on what the statement, should be, proofreading it and things. So as for how to move forward with that, we'll see how universal, we want feedback on things like official SA statements, we'll see. We can go to the next point. Okay, and then channels for feedback and future review. So these are also some more checks that I want to like establish as a norm. Two of which are office hours, weekly office hours, one for constituents, one for internal essay, so we can have those weekly conversations. And if people have, you know, concerns or things they noticed about our leadership style or anything of the sorts, they have that outlet. And then also establishing a feedback form to collect concerns anonymously, and that's something that I'm discussing with AMA to incorporate into our weekly meetings so that we can also see what may be lacking on our part to improve in the future. Also just plugging essay advisors, Laura and AMA are always, you know, available to schedule a meeting. That's just in general. So we can move to the next slide. And I think there's only two more. Yes, communication values. This is overarching. Okay, we're out of time. I just need a minute, but I'll leave it at that.
I yield
You yield or you yield to Justina?
to Justina.
Okay, perfect. So this is the second to the two-prong action agenda item, and this is essentially communication values, and this is kind of internal, you know, in the sense that adjustments to leadership approach that I kind of just want to outline. And of course, switching over to the next slide. To preface this, actions are stronger than words, and we plan to prove it moving forward. So these are some of the sentiments that we want to, you know, take forward into the academic year. So that being, it kind of overlaps with some of the mechanisms, as you'll notice. More transparency with what we're doing. We plan to uphold values of honesty, integrity, and respect. We plan to listen and introspect more when we're interacting with other people of SA, so we can, you know, make sure we're, you know, putting our best foot forward and making sure nobody's feeling left out or depreciated, because again, we're all here to, you know, improve the student body experience, and we don't want anybody to feel devalued because of that, because of, you know, individuals within the system. So we plan to take step back essentially and seek feedback more. So again, kind of going back to points about executive leaving the summer initiatives and taking time to like work separate from legislative. So again, we can all kind of grow in our leadership positions and like focus on our interests and any sort of initiatives that we're particularly passionate about for this semester. We plan to reestablish jurisdiction, so as was mentioned earlier, with some of the points on the agenda item. And then also we plan to trust. So trust is built, it's not given. Something that, you know, me in particular, I want to work on is trusting people more. And I know that I'm not gonna be able to win over anybody's trust moving forward unless I can show it first. So that's gonna be a long-term goal that I hope, you know, we can reestablish some internal relations. And then as for the last point, mechanisms shared earlier, the hope is that they will support these essential communication values. Last point, this is the last slide. This is just overall questions and things that, oh, can we switch over? Thank you. This is just overall questions that I have for the whole, as well as for feedback on any of the action agenda items. We can discuss it again here after this presentation, or also in the one-on-ones. I have shared links to my Calendly schedule. So if you want to like schedule a meeting with me and Mark to discuss it, we're completely available. But again, the questions, we're trying to see, you know, what kind of channels of communication are best, like for individual preference. So again, we're going to be utilizing Xander a lot as the, you know, the link, and then any chairs. But as for senators, I want to emphasize a point that I mentioned in the slides a couple of times, but I didn't really articulate it, I feel like verbally, was that we're always here for support, for advice. If you ever need like advice on what to do about an initiative, you can always come to us. We just won't be as pestering and suffocating as our leadership style has been in the summer. So then next point, this was something also mentioned in leadership that I'm curious to get people's opinion about. What constitutes the use of the Students Association in university-wide communications? And the last point is, do we normalize a process of evaluation for projects and initiatives in general, not just working with the executive, but also overall? That's something that can be pursued in the future, but I leave it at that. Thank you for the people that yield their time so I can complete this presentation.
Okay, I do not have anyone, actually that's not true. Senator Tome, you're still on that speakers list.
Yes, thank you so much, Justina, for this presentation. I really do appreciate you putting this together so that we know what leadership has been planning and what conversations you have been having. I know the past 2 weeks have been really busy. I remember us mentioning 2 weeks ago that we would really like to be involved in these conversations, and I've checked in with senators, I think at least twice throughout those 2 weeks. and none of us have been reached out to by executive leaders beyond maybe other people checking in about how we're feeling about this. So I would really appreciate you guys still following up on reaching out to us. I think after many of us senators having reached out to executive leadership and other people throughout the summer and having our feedback gone unheard, I think it's really important that we don't have to reach out again, but that it's you guys reaching out, especially early in the process, because if this is a problem involving us and the leadership, this is not a problem that the New York State Coalition of Student Governments can solve. This is a problem we both sides need to solve together. So I would really appreciate us collaborating on this and making sure that you guys are reaching out. But I really do appreciate this. Thank you.
All right, is there any other discussion? Anybody that wishes to? Senator Rogers?
You to Lumi.
Hey everyone. Can everyone hear me fine? Okay, cool. Excellent. I'm just gonna toss my video on. Also, just a quick warning. I'm not wearing a hat, and I don't think most of you have seen me without a hat on. First off, I hope you all had a great, safe summer. I'm here because, in case you can't tell, I'm not in a dorm. I am at home in New Jersey, and I just have a few concerns about student engagement off campus that I wanted to make sure that you, as the Student Association government, are aware of. So I'm just going to speak from my experience. I personally have felt pretty much a complete disconnect from campus. It doesn't seem like most student organizations are really planning anything to engage off campus. For example, ERSCA, which I'm a member of, typically does D&D campaigns, and I've seen no indicator that they're even going to try and do remote D&D campaigns, which can work pretty well. So I just want to bring that up as an example. So I guess my main concern is I'm here. The only thing I've really done to get involved this semester is I had a new Nick's humor piece published in the CT last night. Not plugging that for myself. I'm using that to basically say it's been 3 weeks since classes have started, and I personally barely even feel like I'm part of the university community, being not present on campus. I really want to get involved, but I don't know how. I don't know how to. I don't know how to get involved in activities on campus or off campus, because it just feels like everything is there for anyone who's in the Rochester area and you can social distance, but what if you're not here? So thank you all so much for listening. I hope this was enlightening for you. If you have any thoughts or suggestions on how I can get further involved, I would really appreciate that. And I yield my time.
Senator Rogers?
I yield.
Senator Tulloch?
Yeah, hey Lumi. I guess thank you so much for the concerns, and I hope you're doing, well too. I just wanted to know, so you did bring this issue, and I definitely do understand, but I just want to, further understand, where do you think essay fits within engaging students at home? Like, just from you mentioning it, I'm thinking like, okay, doing something through our advisors, or on our Instagram, or trying to urge student organizations to make sure that they're engaging students at home. But what other direct ways, if any, have you thought of that essay could play? Because I'm just kind of struggling to see where we would fit into that. I yield to Louis.
Sorry. Sure. So, I mean, obviously, some of the ways, would be, I personally think ARC should require most student organizations to figure out how to engage students who are not in Rochester. And student organizations should be able to, provide examples of this. It doesn't need to be every event, but even like half the events would be, I think, really useful. As far as stuff more on the end of essay, I guess I'm a little biased because I personally am thinking about things from like, well, how can I further advance stuff with all gender restrooms this year? But that I think falls more on the realm of one of the committees and the executive branch because it's more an implementation now. But I think in general, what we really need is I think we just need to look at, I can't speak for what's going on for things on campus, but I know I'm still able to consider things from the standpoint of, well, student life has drastically changed. How can you approach that? If you're off campus, how can you approach stuff? Like everyone's here for academics, so how can you approach that? And so I think there's still plenty of opportunities to get those of us off campus involved, but it's important that we feel like we're part of the community. And social media doesn't really cut it. Emails, which admittedly I haven't been getting, but that's a different issue probably, aren't necessarily going to cut it. I think it's just a matter of it. It wouldn't feel any different if I was taking classes at the local community college or University of Phoenix or wherever. It's like I'm just a student, but I want to feel like I'm a University of Rochester student. I yield.
Senator Tulloch.
Thank you, Lumi. I yield.
Senator Cosme.
I was pretty much going to ask the same thing that Andre did. I don't fully understand. I do, to a certain degree, the concern. The concern I understand to, I think, a holistic degree. The mechanism through which we can sort of sort this problem out, not fully. I anticipate ARC would have a lot of role to play in figuring out sort of like the constitution by virtue of which we work, how they can incorporate remote students off campus, but in Rochester, et cetera, et cetera. So just gonna wait on people from ARC to make a comment. That's about it. I yield.
Senator Liverpool.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Lumi. Thank you for expressing your concerns. As the deputy chair of ARC, I can say that we've been doing a lot to try to help student orgs operate during this time. We're trying to ensure that virtual events are inclusive, especially because we are in this time and we don't want people doing a lot of in-person programming, which is why student orgs are limited to one in-person event during the semester. But if you have any specific ideas for how we can help to promote more inclusive programming, please reach out directly to me or Eden, the chair of the ARC committee. We really are trying our best, and it definitely is hard. And I hear your feelings. But if there's anything that you think ARC can do to support off-campus students, please reach out directly to us to let us know, because we are also trying to do that. I yield to Eden.
Thank you, Victoria. Yes, we've been working really, really hard, like Victoria said. currently trying to get ARC up and running while being virtual is a little difficult. So that's kind of taken our main focus right now, is getting our analysts and getting going with constitution updates, because a lot of people have those. We're currently working on a few things like COVID addendums, which would allow student organizations to pick and choose what portion of their constitution they can't fulfill within COVID. So hopefully that'll take some pressure off of student organizations on that aspect, so that they can focus on doing more virtual programming and bonding within student orgs. And that's what we're recommending throughout a couple of different avenues that we're looking for PR. We're trying to let organizations know that it's okay not to look the same that they look, or the same as they looked last year, but they should still focus on programming within their organization. We're suggesting you can have medallion workshops for your organization. You can reach out to either ARC or your advisor to help plan programming that you can do virtual and in person. And then also SA leadership as a whole, we've been discussing with advisors kind of the holdbacks on doing more programming. And we're trying to eliminate some of those barriers and help out where we can. So more on that, but thanks everyone, that's my time.
All right, Senator Liverpool, do you yield?
I do, thank you.
Senator Tome?
Yes, thank you so much, Lumi, for sharing your thoughts on that and how we can better engage students that are not on campus. You should also totally, visit Upstark's virtual events. They're really great. We're doing something every week. But beyond that, I think we kind of diverted away from the initial topic we talked about and never wrapped that up. So I do want to go back to that and especially invite senators and other members of SA leadership to actually share their thoughts, their concerns, and how we can work together. This is not an issue I'm bringing up because it's only me. This is an issue that many people have brought forward. I'm kind of sad to see that no one has thoughts on this or is willing to share them. So I would like to invite all senators, as well as Vice President Haddad, Chief Justice Sandagata, and also Speaker, oh my God, I'm going to butcher your name, Pabliti, to share their thoughts and talk a little bit more about this, because this is not something that can be solved just by Justina and I. This has to be done together. I yield.
Senator Shangasa?
Thank you. Before I talk about what, like Leah's point, I also wanted to comment on what Lumi said. Thank you so much for bringing that. I think that, like as ISAC, it's something that we haven't been really noticing as well. So I'm just trying to, like, I just took your concern and I put it in the context of many international students who might be feeling the same way, in a sense that they feel disconnected to the community. And it just kind of saddens me that this hasn't, come to our radar as ISAG. And so thanks for bringing that up. And I'm sure that in the next meetings that we'll have, this is something we're going to put up on our schedules. And I guess I can just we can try to work with other senators as well who will look at this. But I think that it's something that's very important, and it's something that as SA, it's something that we should pay close attention to as far as bringing people to feel part of the community, even from a distance. So thanks for that. I yield.
Senator Liang?
Yeah, I just want to speak to Senator Tome's point from earlier regarding the presentation. I guess I have 2 points, but I'll expand upon them. So the first point is sort of just I'm skeptical that a presentation will solve the problem, simply because it is a presentation, but I understand that there's a lot of work that's going in behind the scenes. I think I want to emphasize this idea that I don't think it's just about boundaries being clear in the beginning. I think it's also just the dynamic development of boundaries that might occur of if someone gets a text at 1 a.m. and they can't do something, it's hey, I would like to not receive text at 1 a.m. and sort of these dynamic conversations that happen. Because I think at the end of the day, we're all adults here. And I think it's an oversimplification to say, if everyone is just allocated roles, will somehow work. I think that student government is a dynamic body in which we're interacting with unprecedented times and unprecedented problems. And I think that's really important. So I guess the first point then, if we were to title it, is just I don't think the problem is project management, but entirely about the fact that like you need to be able to accept dynamic feedback in real time. So that's the first point. The second point I have is about solicitation. So like I think when you guys are coming and presenting a solution of like, hey, here's what we think, I think that solution should have involved senators. I think that it shouldn't have been our job to schedule something with y'all. Rather, since we were the ones who had issues with it, it should have been, you know, the person who is apologizing or the person who's trying to be better to like reach out to us in ways that are a little bit more concrete than, hey, here's a link for you to set up a time to talk to us, but rather, hey, like I really like, you know, here are times that I'm available. Are you available? I would like to speak to you specifically. And then I guess expanding upon that, regarding the statement that came out. So I read the statement, I provided feedback on the statement, a couple of other people read the statement, provided feedback on the statement. It wasn't entirely clear to us that you had not asked the entire Senate. My assumption was that everyone would have been asked. I think that it's really important to like ask people that you think are relevant, but I also think that as a body, we as Senate are a whole group of representatives and student leaders. So it's like, I realize that like, you know, you never intend to like pick and choose who is relevant or define who is and who is not relevant. But I think it's really important to realize that more people are relevant than you might typically assume. And I think that's important, especially for a statement like the protests and Daniel Prude, like the majority of senators sitting at this table, the Zoom table, whatever, are people of color, have an invested stake in the matters that are going on. And I think, yeah, that's important to realize that everyone should be at that table or be aware of it at least. I yield.
All right, Senator Salimi. Also, I before we go through that, I do want to note that our 30 minutes has elapsed, but if this is a conversation that you would rather have an open forum than have during executive updates, I'd be willing to allow for more conversation during open forum. Again, it's not that it's limited to open forum, but I think it's up to you to decide where you want to have this conversation. So with that, Senator Salimi.
So are we like, should I like speak right now? Are we doing this during open forum then? Or do we want to do this in an executive update? I think we can do this during open forum, like we're like already doing this, so I guess I'll go then. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna go off like what Senator Amanda and like Leah said. I think like coming up with these solutions is fine and all, and we like appreciate the effort that you put into it. But then again, like as Amanda said, like you can't pick and choose who you want to ask for feedback. And in the beginning of like when we were elected, in the beginning, like in the like 2 meetings that we had before the spring semester, and we did talk about communication and the importance of like including everyone on Senate and in conversations with like whatever concern like the body as a whole. But we've seen this throughout the summer, and we've even like seen this continue into the fall semester, that some senators have been like as like Amanda said, I don't think it's intentional either. I think it just like happens. But like some senators have been like excluded from some conversations I feel like everyone should have been included in, like for example the Daniel Prude statement. Like a lot of the senators didn't even know about it or weren't asked for feedback, and it was just kind of disappointing, especially because it was right after we talked about the importance of communication with exec and how like we want them to better communicate with us whatever they're doing. So I guess just like reinforcing everyone's point. So I won't take up much time, and I'll yield to Vice President Haddad.
Senator Salimi, thank you for mentioning that last point. I do want to say I'm sorry if I'm a little slow today. I just had an extremely long day. That's why Justina kind of took the lead in the beginning. So I don't know how much I'll be able to talk today. We did notice what happened with the statement on Daniel Prude, and that's why we included it in the executive updates. I know it's a little bit weird now because we didn't know what we were going to talk about in open forum, what we were going to talk about in the updates. But that's not justifiable. The fact that like as exec, like we were comfortable kind of reaching out to people over summer, and that statement went out very quickly. And we realized like how the process went like right after we actually like drafted the statement and started reaching out to people. So Justina and I did have a conversation about that. Not that it's like, again, justifiable, but we realized our mistake way quicker than before. So we are kind of trying to go through these as quickly as possible. And I want to mention a point that Senator Tom, you mentioned earlier about like reaching out to you guys specifically. President Gorga did want to like kind of reach out to all of you individually and talk about all of this. I personally advised her to wait till after the Senate meeting because I personally felt that we have been extremely overwhelming when it came to communication. So we wanted to at least give you this overview, and after the Senate meeting, we would be kind of reaching out to each and every single senator personally to talk more about these issues because we should know what we did wrong. So we want to kind of reflect on that, talk to you about it, and then we would reach out for those updates. Time's up, so I'm going to yield.
Senator Salimi, you still have the floor. Do you yield?
Yes, I yield. Thank you.
President Gorka?
Yeah, Mark hit some points. So I'm just gonna not take up too much time and then yield. But to kind of just emphasize some things, yes, with the statement, that's still, I feel like, something we're trying to figure out how best to get a lot of feedback on, because at least with things of statements of this nature, you're balancing timing with trying to make sure like it's the right thing to say. So that's a conversation that I look forward to having, you know, the one-on-ones when I will reach out. It was mentioned in the email, so I just want to emphasize that we will be having one-on-ones, and I want to like do a personalized individual outreach because I do want to address specific things certain senators said in the open forum to make sure that we're not like, you know, tabling it to the side. But yeah, so with the statement, that's something that I look forward to more conversations about, because in the past with leadership statements, I don't know how much feedback went outside of leadership on these statements, but that's something, you know, like that was precedent. But I'm fine with, you know, us changing, because I do want to get more input, and kind of going to the transparency aspect of the presentation. I want to have more people's opinions involved, especially with essay-wide communication. So just to kind of reiterate, like, yes, it's just a statement, and kind of, you know, to go back to that, what is it, second to last slide, actions speak louder than words, and we're looking to prove ourselves in the future. And that's with more email correspondence and, like, you know, showing that we're implementing these things, that we're trying to do better, because we are. I want essay to be an enjoyable experience, and I don't want, you know, relationships to be strained, because I want us all to be, you know, productive and doing whatever we feel can help the student body. So yeah, thanks for addressing those points, Mark. But I'm going to yield to Justice Ghani.
I accidentally raised my hand, sorry.
All right, President Gorka, still have the floor.
I guess, I don't know if there's anything else to say, but just to, yeah, expect individual emails, because I did want to wait until, you know, after the Senate to sort of share these initial, you know, like drafts of what to change. So yeah, just look forward to more communication, I guess, but I'll yield.
All right, is there any other discussion? Senator Liang?
I think I just want to read this onto the record so we know that it's been said. So, like, I think for the statement, I would have liked at least, hey, we're working on a statement. Like, I don't really care. I personally don't really mind if I'm not being solicited for feedback regarding a statement. But I think it's more like this assumption that communication is by necessity overbearing. I don't think that's true. I think you can communicate something without putting a burden onto senators to respond. So an example of this would just literally be like, hey, we're working on a statement right now. And I'll be asking specific people for feedback in the interest of time, but we are working on a statement. And I think that's a way to communicate that isn't overbearing and generally like accomplishes what we want and also accomplishes what you want. So I think that's important to note. I yield back to the floor.
All right, is there any other discussion for open forum? I'll also, to sort of directly answer Senator Tom's question to me, which was about, you know, me speaking or Matt potentially speaking. I don't necessarily feel comfortable doing that during the meeting. I would have to recuse myself as the speaker. But after the meeting, I'm happy to answer any questions you have or personally reach out. But in terms of during the meeting, I need to sort of maintain the neutral status. Any other points of discussion? Senator Tome?
Just one last point. I would like to revisit this presentation and the action steps outlined either probably sometime within the next 4 or 5 weeks to see what progress we have made and how people are feeling about this. So I'll make sure to put that date down and see whether things have improved or not. Thank you all for the discussion. I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion? Seeing no further discussion for open forum, we will move into updates. So we can start with Senator updates. Is there anything that people want to discuss or ask questions about related to what's here, or add anything that is not here? Senator Tulloch?
Yeah, so just for the Equity and Inclusion Climate Task Force, I had a few questions after reading through the PPMs. I definitely do appreciate the task force and think it's very, thoroughly outlined. But one of my first questions is, on your PPMs, you still have the Minority Student Affairs Liaison, as well as the chair position. And under the PPMs, it specifically says, shall perform duties designated to them by the chair. And I just wanted a bit more clarification about what the difference between that position and the chair would be, or even that position and the project analyst that is being proposed. I yield to Senator Rogers.
Thank you. Just to clarify, the minority liaison, by definition, under the executive PPMs, is a representative of the URMs or underrepresented minorities, specifically MSAB and other organizations. They retain the chair position, and the liaison position is the chair position includes other minorities who are not underrepresented with other demographics within that isn't covered within the minority liaison. Minority liaison only covers URMs, but in the demographic of a task force, it includes LGBTQ+, low-income students, as well as underrepresented minorities and minoritized minorities. That's the first difference. The between minority liaison and project analyst, the minority liaison is supposed to be on this task force to help relay the information and concerns of URMs, or underrepresented minorities. We still want to keep that channel open to us since we are handling different projects on the various different groups. The project analysts are more equivalent to LA, so they're handling the more logistical issues. Liaison is more a perspective person, or somebody who's giving us input from the direct input for URMs, because there's already a position within that state. We didn't wish to dismantle it because we're trying to see the longevity of this task force, so we don't want to dismantle the liaison that's already been existed. Hence why we added to task force for the time being. But moving forward, we are looking to adjust it for the time being. Though we just added up there to have a kind of extra extra member who represents a specific demographic under the task force. But we didn't wish to again dismantle it, so we incorporated into it. That's the question.
Thank you. I actually had one more question. So if like somebody else could yield to me, that would be great. I yield.
Senator Ramirez?
I was gonna ask something different, but I'll yield to Senator Tulloch for now.
Thank you. So specifically, thank you for that answer. The other concern that I had was the organizations listed under the purview of the proposed task force. Looking under there was 30 organizations in various parts of those organizations. And I think one thing that MSAB does well is that the people who are leading the organization are those who are within the organizations that they represent. And I just want to make sure that there is some way that you're making sure that the students that lay within these organizations are also resting within this proposed task force, and that there's clear representation of those students within the task force, because I definitely think it would be detrimental, just I guess to these organizations for this task force to be representing them, but then nobody on the task force to represent or reflect the characteristics of those organizations. So what would you propose in terms of making sure that representation is there?
Do I yield to by Senator Ramirez, or which one will you to me? Do I just speak or no, Alexander?
I'm sorry, can you clarify that question again?
Oh, because Senator Tulloch asked me a question. Is Senator Ramirez is one was some time ago? He yield to me, or does Senator Tulloch yield to me?
I would prefer that. Well, it's technically up to Senator Ramirez, but I would prefer that Senator Ramirez yield to Senator Rogers.
I yield to Senator Rogers then.
Okay, so clarifying the list of student organizations, it's not saying that we represent them. That's a list of people we consult with if issues or initiatives pertain to those demographics or people with those student orgs. We do in no way represent them. Rather, there's a list of people who we consult if issues arise or initiatives that might need the input might arise. We shall consult them. MSAB is aware of the task force and is agreement with us. So we will be reaching out to MSAT as well, the people that MSAT oversees, but in no way do we represent them. That is a list of people who we should consult with if the issue of if we need to, but we in no way represent them. That's the question.
Senator Ramirez, you still have the floor?
I yield.
Oh, hi. In case there are no more questions about Senator Rogers' point, I did want to move on to my point. Is that all right with everyone? I take that as a yes. Okay. So as some of you know, I've been really involved with international student advocacy here in the US over the summer, especially in regards to the ICE regulations that were announced in July, but quickly renounced very luckily. But what formed as a result of that was really the need for an international student network, because that doesn't exist at all in the United States. So nothing like that, no support system, no national resources. So I got together with some international student leaders across the country, and we've been working on 3 things. So we're currently trying to form a New York State International Student Network coalition that gets together monthly, meets with delegates from each college, university, and discusses issues, resources, ways to solve them, information sharing, and then also an national international student network. So basically, we're hoping that this will form in all the states, and that those statewide networks will make up a national network. And then UCSA had a really cool international student advocacy conference actually this weekend, which was really successful, was really cool to see. So what we're currently also working on, once we have those statewide networks established, hopefully in November, December, to have an international student advocacy conference, which is virtual and accessible to all international students studying in the US. So in case you do want to get involved with any of this, feel free to let me know about this. I'm very actively involved in this right now. This is not associated with the UFR or the Students Association government at all, but I do know that some of you guys were really interested in this topic, and I hope to give more updates as this will be built and as this will become bigger. A second point I had was the music practice room keys, charges, and cost. I know we talked about this being increased, and I know some senators were working on that. I think Senator Ramirez actually had a response to that, so I will yield.
Senator Ramirez?
Yeah, thanks, Senator Tom. So yeah, so me and Senator Salimi are taking charge in this project. Some of the things that we're in discussion with is like we've reached out to NJR, and one of the things that we've come to learn from like some of the things that some of the materials that President Gorka had provided to us is that the increase in the music room keys is partly a result from budget issues from the music department. So they had to hire a lot of new staff just to like keep up with COVID regulations and stuff like that. So like this pandemic has really increased the cost on the music department's end, and which in result has led to the increase in the music room keys. So like one of the things that we're trying to figure out is how to help students from low income backgrounds to kind of help cover these costs. One of the things that our advisor Laura suggested is probably getting in touch with the Basic Needs Hub. So currently I am going to be emailing direct contact from there to see if the Basic Needs Hub will actually be able to support this fee and stuff like that. And moving forward, we're gonna Senator Salimi and I are going to be meeting with Professor Bailey Shia, who's the person who's we're going to be primarily contacting with. And Senator Salimi, I don't know if you have anything to add, but if not, then I yield.
No, yeah, I don't have anything new to add. Like I think Rafa covered everything. We will be working on it, I feel like in the upcoming week, and we'll have more updates at the next meeting. I yield.
All right. Are there any other points of discussion for Senator updates? Senator Liang?
Yeah, I also have some updates. I submitted this after the deadline, but so they're not appearing in the agenda, but they will be in the minutes. So the first point is on internal accountability and legislative housekeeping. So I had a meeting with Parliamentarian Sahin yesterday regarding the bill that's actually in new business, sort of clarifying, or what is it? I don't know what the language is specifically, but basically it's housekeeping. It's cleaning up some legislation that sort of like is spelled wrong, is punctuated wrong, or is inconsistent. We also, so from that conversation, we are now working on a bill to clarify executive session. Since when we had chair appointments last time, there was some confusion about how that worked. And then when we looked into the actual Senate PPMs / bylaws, there were some actual issues with the legislation. So I'm working on a really chill, really easy bill to sort of just iron out some kinks there. Yeah, so if anyone wants to, I guess for the first years, if you want to learn how to write a bill, this is a great opportunity. Anyone who wants to like help on that, it would be cool. It's like pretty simple. Okay, second point. So Devon and I were appointed to the Faculty Senate Ad Hoc Committee to reimagine DPS along with Justina. This was a while ago. I think I've given informal updates through the group chat, but I just want to give a formal update. So right now in that Faculty Senate Ad Hoc Committee, there is a drafted purpose for the new Public Safety Review Board, and that was drafted by myself, Professor Catherine Phillips, and Professor Joshua Dubler. So that's happening. We're meeting again, I think, on Friday. And then the sub-point on that is, yeah, drafted a purpose with faculty, and the next meeting will be on Friday. Cool. Yeah, those are all my updates. I yield back to the floor.
Any other discussion for Senator updates? All right, we can move into legislative committees, administration review.
Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, also the Constitution update process is fully open, almost operational because our archaeologists haven't been assigned yet, but we're assigning them on a case-by-case basis until they're like, they have their designated categories. So yeah, other than that, that's my update.
All right, Senator Arnarkin.
Thank you. I hope it's a question to the right committee, but well, since you're working with clubs and building on the open forum point, so you have like a couple of items here which are seemingly important, like constitution updates or recognition of new clubs. But my question is really like, speaking about clubs that have trouble operating during COVID, and given that Wilson Commons is not always the best in supporting clubs, because they're just not, like, do you do any advocacy for clubs to make sure that they do the things that are actually important to students, as opposed to just making sure that clubs update their papers? And I yield to Aidan.
Yeah, great question. So we're working on some language right now for the WCSA frequently asked questions page that's going to be released shortly. And that's going to answer a lot of those questions where student organizations are worried about how they're going to function this year, or like being evaluated on the SOAR report. And we're working on all those concerns, and ARC just wants to tell student organizations that if you don't look like how you normally do, that is totally okay. We understand completely. The whole point of us reaching out, and we're going to do, student analysts are going to send regular emails to their organizations, giving them like tips and tricks and whatnot to deal with the COVID situation. We also are going to be offering the COVID addendum that I mentioned earlier, where student organizations can submit a form and basically get a few like parts of their constitution basically like paused, and then have actual like what they're going to do during COVID. So that's another huge plus for student organizations. We also are constantly in contact with Laura Ballou and Anne-Marie Algier, and we are working out a lot of the kinks that student organizations are facing, and we're working on PR for those things. But, you know, like with getting ARC situated and the start of the semester, like we're getting there, we're almost there. We're just working through the big parts. Like I'm working on my PPMs right now. Those are almost done. I'm doing summer constitution updates that we've had to do. There have been student concerns that we've had to deal with. That takes a lot of time and effort. So we're getting there and we're working on it, but right now it's, you know, like it's almost there. I just don't have everything ready, but so close.
Yeah, sure. A follow-up question then. When would the clubs be able to expect it? Because it's like halfway through September.
What do you mean, like the constitution update process, or the organization?
Like more like structural support for organizations, the ones which are like almost done. Yeah, and if you could quickly answer, I don't know, my time is over.
So there's no one else. Sure. There's no one else currently on the speakers list, but I'll allow Eden to answer. And Senator Arnarkin, I guess I could yield to you again.
I'm not sure. Can you like say the question again?
Yeah, sure. So like, is there like a timeline of when clubs will receive all the like specific like COVID support and COVID updates that you mentioned you're working on?
Oh yeah, by the end of September at the latest. We are like multiple steps in our PR and other things that we're working on are almost to completion. Like once we get enough analysts and when our senators are approved, like that's going to be a huge plus for us, because we had very low numbers. You know, one of our great analysts is now the vice president. My deputy is my deputy. So, you know, and there's people taking semesters off. There's people, you know, that are taking the year off or don't want to be analysts anymore. So we're recruiting. It's kind of hard to get these kind of steps going without our analysts in place, but we're almost there. I tacked on 2 more analysts, and senators are going to be appointed, and I have rolling applications. So we're getting there.
Cool. Thank you, Aidan. And I yield my time.
All right, any other discussion for ARC? All right, appropriations, nothing this week, right?
Yeah, I have nothing, but the senators that will hopefully be appointed later expect an email from me later today.
All right, campus services, anything to add to what's here?
Yeah, no, it's largely just that. Should I just go on?
Unless you have any discussion or things to add to what's here, we
No,
can
nothing to
go
add
to
here, but
questions.
once I'm done with my, I don't know, sort of spiel, please feel free to reach out with questions and suggestions and advice because I'm going to need that. Been over the summer and now been working with Cam, the director of the dining services of the U of R, with the issue of Aramark. Aramark being one of the organizations the only organization that the school contracts for dining services purposes, has a very notorious history of being implicitly and explicitly involved in racist practices, especially its connection with the prison industrial complex. Have brought up the issue multiple times to Cam. There have been multiple petitions, the Black Lives at U of R Matter, and then the Black Lives at U of R Matter Reloaded petition. So I just wanted to give a general update about how that process is going so far. Brought up the issue over the summer, and then in a formal setting at the Dining Services Student Advisory Board Committee. U of R has had a contract with Harvest Table since 2018, and a contract with Aramark, which is the parent company for Harvest Table since 1998. At this point, the school can't sort of terminate that contract, and just so that all of this is on record and for like all these purposes, the school has a contract till June 30th, 2022, just so that everybody knows. One of the reasons that the school has difficulty even changing that contract even slightly is because in order to do that, they'd have to have a separate vendor. Before 1998, the University of Rochester was allegedly losing a lot of money because of their dining services program, and therefore, by virtue of not being able to sustain that model where they were doing it all by themselves, they had to sort of bring in like a secondary contractor. And because of how badly they were doing, allegedly, and this is information I got from Cam today, and he gave his consent for this to be shared, was that the school lost almost half of their executive dining services department like leadership because of the fact that the school couldn't sort of handle that. So that's the general gist of it. They're trying to keep up with their goals of sustainability. At this point, 64% of what they buy is from New York State, within New York State, so it's local sourcing. But the issue, like the principled issue, still to be resolved. The only reasonable solution to this problem seems to be coming up with an entire game plan as to how there could be a replacement for Aramark for like logistical and practical purposes. It's either that or the university has to sort of lose money and do this on their own, which would inhibit their ability to sort of do the things that they're able to do at this point, which is like having multiple food options, the chefs, all of that stuff. Ultimately, it comes down to figuring out what we can do in our capacity as a government in terms of what we can give as suggestions. So that's my spiel on this. If you have any questions, throw them my way. We're also waiting on representatives from BSU and Sadaka for the Dining Services Advisory Board. I think we're gonna have them. I have gotten emails from both of them now, so it shouldn't be a problem. And with that, I'm done. All right. Any questions?
Bila? I think you're still muted.
Should I speak?
Yep.
Okay. Sabita, I just have a question regarding Aramark, and let's say if this plan was successful, I'm just worried or asking about the workers who are at the dining hall, because I personally work in the dining hall, and I just want to know, like, will these workers go with the company when they leave the University of Rochester, or will they stay employed here with the new company that overtakes this dining hall system? Because I believe like many people would lose their jobs and they would be like negatively impacted if Aramark were to leave and take the workers with them, because many of the workers, they live in Rochester and possibly would not be able to find another job or work in the area. So I just wanted to ask about that, if you know anything.
Should I just go ahead and respond to that? Yep. All right, cool. So the thing with that is the Aramark, and by extension, Harvest Table employs about 50 to 60 people at the U of R. Most of it is managerial staff. So the chefs, the people in the white shirts, them and everybody at an administrative level above them are the people that are employed directly by Aramark. Everybody else is a U of R employee. So those are the people who would likely lose their job if Aramark were to be removed. That's pretty much all I have at this point. The only way we could overcome it is if, while we were removing Aramark, we were to get them to waive their non-compete clause, by virtue of which anybody who had been employed by Aramark would have to take a year off before they could get employed by U of R directly. So it's that distinction. At this point, the head of our dining services program is employed by the University of Rochester. The staff that sort of operates all of these dining services locations on a day-to-day basis is sort of employed by the University of Rochester, but the intermediate management team, which includes some of Cam is the dining services director, Cam's top advisors and like administrators, they are employed by Aramark by extension, and if Aramark were to be moved, they would definitely lose their job.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
Do you yield?
Yeah, I yield the floor.
Senator Liang?
Yeah, so just a quick question. So since these sort of demands have originated from the petition writers of URBLM, I was wondering if you've updated them yet, and if not, when that will likely happen.
No, I haven't had a chance to update them on almost most of this, because all of the information that I've actually managed to get, I have gotten literally today at a meeting at 1 p.m. I think sort of getting all of this information is also sort of a consequence of this being brought up at the Student Dining Services Student Advisory Committee / board. And because it became a public issue at that point, it had to be addressed. So I think that's one of the key reasons that we do have this information at this point. And I know Cam is going to do a small presentation with like specific numbers within the upcoming weeks, after which I'll have a better idea of how much money the university ends up giving by extension through Harvest Table to Aramark, and how much of the money stays with Harvest Table, because Harvest Table in itself is allegedly an independent entity. It, however, still is a subsidiary, so it does give some of its profits and revenues upwards. Like I don't think there's a lot of there's not a lot of nuance to the situation beyond the fact that there are a lot of employees that are hired by the University of Rochester. But from a principled point of view, I think I understand where the petition writers are coming from, and I intend to like type this all out in a sort of meeting minutes sort of way and send them all of this after I've had the next week's meeting, so that I can give them the numbers as well, because at this point it's just a general update for the Senate. Anything else?
No, I guess like maybe let them know that they should be expecting something next week, because I think there has been very little movement on petition demands for it's been 3 months now, and with the with the protesting in Rochester, it might be really reassuring and timely to see like, hey, we're making progress.
Very valid. I shall do that. Thank you.
And with that, I yield back to the floor.
All right, are there any other points of discussion for campus services?
No, none on my end. If anybody has questions, feel free to reach out. And if anybody wants to work with campus services, even in like their designation as just a senator, or wants to reach out, has suggestions, advice, ideas, like Amanda just did, please do so. Like, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Isaac, Sakile, do you have anything to add to what's here?
I don't have anything to add. It's just what's there. Should I go ahead?
You cut out a little bit. I assume you were asking about sharing, like what's there, like sharing more details.
Yes. Should I just go ahead? I don't have anything to add. I don't have anything to add to these lists beyond explaining the points that I've written.
So in the interest of time, if there's things that you think are important to call out or to add more detail to or things like that, then that's fine. But generally, I think to move through the updates, we should try and have the updates be like a general flow of like what the student body should be looking for.
Okay, I'll just address a few points. I think, so last week there was a question regarding the International Students Advisory Committee or the Advisory Board to ISO. And so the update to that is that, so ISO isn't going to, so they basically changed how they're going to start reaching out, sort of like finding people for this board. The reason for that was that they don't have the bandwidth to handle an open application pool for people to apply. So what they're going to do is that the committee is going to be representational in a sense that it's going to have representatives from ASNE, Eastman, and Simon and Warner and other schools. And so as far as ASNE is concerned, ISO is going to be the sort of representative of students, of international students in ISNE. And then I believe they're also going to reach out to CSA for a representative from CSA, and then they're also going to have 2 students from Eastman, so an undergrad and a postgrad student. And so that's that. And also in the summer we've also been advocating for like a social media sort of platform for ISO to create, and this has been successful. Our sort of lobbying has been successful, that they're going to create a grad student position, like a paid job for a graduate students to. Thanks for that clarification, Amanda. CSA is Chinese Student Association. They're going to create a paid position for graduate students to handle the social media pages for ISO and global engagement. I'm not sure if it's up yet, but I'll come with updates next week. And also, lastly, we are planning to host a graduate student for international students. And so we've sent out like a poll in the international students Facebook group, which I believe is private, but we kind of need help about this. So if you have any kind of help to how we can structure a graduate student workshop in terms of like the kind of topics that we can talk about, the kind of people that we can call to be on the panel, like on the panelists, would really appreciate that. And the same applies to the Career Center, or the career fair that we're planning as well. Like right now, we just need people. Our committee has not been fully established yet, and so we'd love to hear any ideas. And if you'd love to be involved in any of what I've spoken about, please feel free to reach out to me or Mike, and I'm going to yield. Thanks.
All right. Are there any other points of discussion for Sakile? Any questions? Seeing none, we can move into executive updates. I see that there are a lot here, so unless there are things that you'd like to add, I would ask that the senators or gallery members ask questions of exec rather than go through and read all the ones that are on here.
Yeah, everything's been elaborated in subpoints so that, everybody can be like caught up on the updates, but.
Senator Tulloch?
Yeah, just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The public health ambassadors isn't due today anymore. They extended the deadline.
Oh, they did?
They did. And I just want to emphasize that you guys should definitely encourage a lot of people to hop on that, especially during this time. And that's it. I yield.
Senator Tulloch, can I ask a follow-up question? Do you know when the deadline was extended until? I probably didn't catch any emails about it.
The email didn't specify, they just said they were extending it.
Okay, I'll comment. I'll reach out to the point students. Thank you.
Senator Tulloch, do you yield?
I yield.
There is one point I want to elaborate on in the agenda. I was wondering if Isha was here. Isha. Okay, Isha might have had to leave due to office hours, but unless there's any other questions on the updates, I just wanted to emphasize the point at the bottom on the essay newsletter. That was something that was also mentioned in the presentation. So the last 3 weeks, essentially, we sent out 2 essay newsletters to kind of experiment with the idea of like informing the student body on things, using it as a platform to advertise surveys, and other initiatives that were associated to essay, to see how engaging the student body would be with it, how much they would utilize the stuff linked. Essentially, it all goes back to transparency. So something that now Isha, the chief of staff, is going to be a point on is opening up the essay newsletter so that anybody with an essay, if anybody has any like updates or surveys they want to share through that platform to utilize, We use a platform called MailChimp, which essentially also helps with what is it, like surveying how many people click on the email, how many people on average spend time looking through it. So it's really helpful to changing the format and building off of for future editions of the newsletter. So Isha might be sending an email herself to kind of elaborate a bit on it, but any questions on it, I'd direct to Isha. She'll probably be coming back, but again, you can reach out to her. And the form linked to that particular update is a form where you could submit your updates to be incorporated in the next essay newsletter, essentially asking things like the title, the content, any forms or links that you would want to include. But yeah, that's just like one update I wanted to highlight.
Senator Tome?
Yes, first of all, I wanted to mention, especially since I see the update about the feedback on alternative self-expression there was an article in the Campus Times that elaborated on like self-expression at the U of R and how two of our main forms of expression, the tunnels and the flags, were taken away. So I encourage everyone to read that. I thought that was a really great article. Second of all, I do see the update about the Daniel Pruitt statement and steps taken since, and then looking into your MC's relation to the story. And I think we've all heard about your MC and what has happened there. So I'm just wondering, with those very initial brainstorming conversations, what exactly are you thinking of what SA government could do in this situation? I yield to Justina.
Perfect. Also, Leah, if you had a link to the Campus Times article, feel free to post in the chat. I'd be interested in seeing it. The tunnel survey, just to touch on that real quick, we're trying to get more responses. So if anybody on this call in particular has any ideas for alternative means of self-expression, particularly, like, please fill out that form. It's on the newsletter. We don't have as many responses as we'd hope, but there are some good ideas that we can start conversations on. But yes, as for the point on Daniel Pruitt, so just to give, I guess, some preface, I don't know how informed people are on, the whole story, but Daniel Pruitt had initially been admitted to URMC before he was then released and taken back to his brother's house. From there on, his brother had called RPD to essentially do like a mental wellness check. And that's when things escalated. URMC and EMT came to the scene, and overall, there's a lot of weird associations, and something from my informal conversations with members of URMC, specifically PhD students in the medical program, had mentioned was the kind of lack of bias trainings and things for EMT staff. Just as a disclaimer, there's a general, I think like a workshop or some sort of like annual training you have to go for like bias, generally speaking. But I don't know necessarily how much more there is to that specifically for EMT staff, because it is so more relevant. So that's something that I'd been talking about within the executive chat, specifically like with Izzy and Isha, to see, how much more information can we get, and if there's anything like informally that we can like discuss or motivate using those kind of casual relationships we have within like the URMC, student government, and again, PhD students. And these are relationships that like started over in the summer. So I don't know if anybody had any thoughts on that or any suggestions. Again, just to really emphasize it, it is really initial brainstorming conversations. Like, we don't want to, I guess, put aside, the U of R's place in the story, because that hasn't really been emphasized. So seeing what more can be done other than just the statement, other than just the protesting tips and ways to donate and get involved, things that, we have some degree of, impact over, being U of R students ourselves. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. Senator Tome, do you yield?
Yeah, I yield.
Senator Arnarkin?
I yield for now.
Senator Liang?
Yeah, I just want to point out a couple of things. So on URMC, there has been a lot of work that's been done by Black activists on campus already looking into this problem, and also work done by the UR Abolition Coalition. I would suggest reaching out to them and sort of connecting in regards to URMC's relationship with Daniel Pruitt and sort of that. In addition to that, I just want to clarify Strong Memorial Hospital does not have EMTs. EMTs work for ambulance companies, and those ambulance companies are responsible for the training and provisioning of like EMTs in addition to the state. So they're to create a bias training at Strong Memorial Hospital would be sort of like not like, I don't know how that would do things. Yeah, so like yeah, I guess we can continue talking, and then I can connect you with some people. I'll DM you after the meeting. Yeah, but just there's work being done, so we can plug in.
Do you yield?
Yes.
All right, is there any other discussion for the executive? Any questions? Senator Arnarkin?
Yeah, I do have a different question, and that's why I yielded before. So specifically about SA newsletter, and Justina, at least during steering, you told that you would have the numbers for how many students opened the newsletter. And it seems important given that even in the elections, only like 600 students vote out of like 5,000. So I yield to Justina or Isha if they're here.
I don't think Isha has re-entered the chat. So let me just pull up 1 second. Yeah, because just to preface this with the steering, it was a discussion on also the regularity of the send, because we don't want to oversaturate the student body as well, because then, you know, it'll become like the At Rochester newsletter where people don't necessarily click on anymore. That's something we have to be cognizant of. So I wrote it down somewhere. Is it possible to get back to me later,
Sure,
maybe?
sure.
I'll message it in the chat because I can't find it on my desktop right now, but I'll pull it up and share it in the chat. Yeah,
Cool.
specifically as to the clickability of the newsletter.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I yield.
All right, if there's no further discussion, I recommend we go to Alumni Advancement.
Hi, yes. So something that I completely missed and didn't put onto the agenda was that Together for Rochester, the year-long program that is trying to improve equity in the school, has kicked off. Some students have already been approached to sit on multiple subcommittees that they are going to have under 3 pillars, which is giving, career, and equity. The career one is especially one that students can get involved in, and they are going to start having applications for students to sit in on. If you have any questions about how to get involved, please don't hesitate coming and asking me any questions. Also, there is positions for international students specifically about how to navigate in a post-COVID world, especially in the job market. So you can email me or you can message me, and I will be happy to give you more than enough information.
All right, is there any, are there any questions or points of discussion? Senator Tulloch?
Yeah, I'll also be sitting on that committee, so definitely, if you're looking to get involved, just let me know. I definitely would like to see a lot of you involved, so yeah. I yield.
All right, any other discussion? If not, we can move to community engagement. Any updates for this week? Justina, do you have anything?
Is this for community engagement or?
Yes, for community engagement.
Oh, is Izzy not? Can I actually yield to Ian, because this is something that Izzy and CP have been working on in particular related to community engagement.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll yield to Ian Krager in the gallery.
Hey everyone. So for the first year senators that are kind of new, my name is Ian. I'm the chair of the university's Committee for Political Engagement. So I have been working a lot with Izzy on a bunch of new stuff that I want to just quickly update you guys on, including opportunities for you all to engage in some of this. So the first thing is we are launching, as of yesterday, a new club challenge for all of the university's student organizations. Basically, what we are proposing is if a student organization e-board member or just like a general club member sends us like a 20, 30-second video on why they believe voting is important, why they're like going to be voting this year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We will then give their club a $20 Visa gift card to be using for anything. So this is part of what we're using the mini grant that I received a few weeks ago on. So this is also something that SA can participate in. So if anybody in SA leadership or any senators want to send a quick video to, you can send it directly to me, just explaining like why it's important to vote, why they're registered to vote, like why you're going to be voting this year, why other people should register to vote, basically anything about voting, just keeping it nonpartisan. We will send, it can be one person does this from your organization, and we'll send the leader of your organization, who is obviously Justina, a $20 Visa gift card to be used for anything. And this is under the table, so don't tell admin. So basically, this is a really fun challenge that we're hoping to put on all of our social media, and then we're also going to be tagging you guys in it so you can put it on your social media. And we're going to be basically flooding social media on National Voter Registration Day, which is 9/22. So I'll be sending Izzy all of the details so she can share it with leadership and then disseminate to all of you. But that's kind of the gist. And then basically, we're also doing a debate watch party, which I kind of mentioned in the last meeting, but we have the details finalized on it this time. So we're working directly with WCSA, as well as College Democrats, College Republicans, and SA on this as well. It's going to be on Wilson Quad, limited to 50 people in person, and it's going to be on September 29th for the first presidential debate. More details, again, will be forthcoming, but I just wanted to let you know that that is now confirmed and set in stone. And then the rest of the debate watch parties will likely also be in person, but indoors, probably in Hoyt Auditorium. And then there will also be virtual watch parties for all 4 debates, the 3 presidential and the 1 vice presidential. I'll have more specific details on what's going to happen for National Voter Registration Day next week. But if there are any questions, definitely ask them now, or just reach out to myself or Izzy. Thanks, guys.
President Gorka, do you yield?
I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion for community engagement? For the record, would a Senator or President Gorka like to talk about what was discussed in the Zoom chat?
Oh, just recently?
President Gorka?
Yeah, I was just saying that if, you know, we get those videos and we get a couple of those $20 gift cards, we can potentially do an essay bonding, maybe.
I was more referring to the part about the numbers with the newsletter that was asked by the senators.
That too, I can give updates on. Yes. So I checked the website, and in the last 3 to 4 days since the newsletter was published on Friday, it looks like there was 461 clicks. And then specifically as for links on the newsletter attached, it looked like there was 85. And that is an increase already from the first newsletter. So here's to hoping that there'll be more. Yeah. That I just wanted to update the statistics. So not bad. It's, you know, not the entire student body, obviously, but.
Do you yield?
Yes, I yield.
Karamar, anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that, especially Senators 2024, fill out the introductions form. We started posting introductions on our Instagram today. And the other thing is that I need all committee chairs to send me their meeting times and also their Zoom links. I got all the ones that are already sent to me, so thank you guys for that. And yeah, I know that someone said that they're not sure still when their time is. Just send it to me as soon as you can so we can update the website. That's it. Thank you.
Just as a note, committee chairs should probably make that decision with the senators that could potentially get appointed tonight. I'd like to choose a time so that they can ensure that those people can actually make the meeting time. Is there any other discussion for PR or for the exec? ACJC?
Hi, everybody. We have two updates that are on the board there. I hope you can hear me all right. The other one that I haven't added is that I just want to be very upfront and forward about the level of workload that the council is under this year. So last semester, our caseload doubled. That was already from an elevated level. We have 11 justices, including myself. We're doing our best to manage our caseload when it comes to academic honesty, but should it become necessary, I'm strongly considering asking the Senate to consider a constitutional referendum regarding expanding the council. I yield.
Is there any other discussion for ACJC? Senator Tome?
Yes, hi. I actually do have a question about the reporting, like the COVID-19 incident report form. I know we talked about this a lot, but one thing that's still been really unclear to students is what exactly happens with that report after it is submitted. Will it stay anonymous with the people? What consequence will come from that? So do you think you could clarify that a little bit more here and then make sure that that can be shared with the student body too?
Sure, I'll clarify that to the best of my ability here. I think to a certain extent it's still being, certain parts of it are still subject to being worked out. So that may change in the future, but I am also dedicated to being transparent about what that process looks like. So when it comes to transmitting that to the student body, I'm certainly down to do so. As far as I understand it, at the moment, the COVID reporting process, COVID incident reporting process was built on top of the technological infrastructure of the CARE reporting process. But it goes exclusively to the conduct department. So that goes to Kyle Orton, who's the head of conduct, Brandon Bennett, and I think Ashley. And they've received many reports. I think they're at around 60 plus a week. I'm not sure of the current stats. They try their damnedest to respond to all of those things within 72 hours. Their bandwidth is significantly stretched at the moment. I'm unsure of their current average response time. So if there are urgent issues, if someone is actively holding a party, call public safety. If you believe that something has happened and you can give specific names, file a COVID report. One of the issues that I think they've encountered is that many people are reporting things that are essentially rumors. That makes it hard to launch investigations, to begin to narrow things down. For example, I heard that some students in a dorm across from me might be holding a party. That's not really raising it to the level of where you'd want to support, put one of those things together. But if you have any more information than that, it'd be really helpful just to make sure that everyone is taking actions to make sure that everyone else is safe on campus. I'd also be happy to clarify anything else in the time afterwards because I know we're low on time, so I yield. Thanks.
Senator Tome, do you yield?
I yield. Thank you so much, Connor.
Senator Rogers?
I'll just add a point. Besides my role as senator, I'm also a student aid worker as well. So we are trying to work on emphasizing that RAs do contact the student aid on duty, so we can then facilitate and look into evaluate the issue. Like the extent of the issue, does it need to be warned for public safety to come, or can it be just a simple warning and things can just this escalate? So we are trying to working on ways to improve that measure and working with RAs and also with the student body to contact their student aid, local student aid person, so it won't have to go directly to DPS and have those big issues. Student aids are trying to more involved, so it's something else I want to drop in.
Do you yield?
Yes, I yield.
Or is there any other discussion for ACJC? All right, parliamentarian, Typhoon Boris, anything to add?
Just that we'll be proposing a new style guide at the next Senate meeting. So you can feel free to read that. And I think that's it.
All right, any discussion for parliamentarian, deputy parliamentarian? All right, so we can go into speaker and deputy speaker updates. Matt, anything you want to say or add?
Nothing much. Just the minutes from the April 27th special session are still being worked on. That was a weird meeting. I think Leah was doing half of the minutes, I was doing half the minutes, and things got lost in the transition. So we're still working on those. They will be done for next week. And then just another little note, I noticed a lot of people were trying to add some things on the Senate agenda today, and not going to call anyone out, but please in the future, if you do have any updates to share, come to the steering meeting or put them on the steering agenda. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion for Matt or I? Senator Tom?
So sorry, I have a lot of discussion today. So about the updated count of how many your community members have tested positive for COVID, do you know whether the university also reports how many are in isolation or quarantine, so people that have been exposed to people with COVID but might not necessarily test positive? And is that data accessible to everyone? Because I know, for example, Boston University publishes like data and graphs and everything about that, and it's really disappointing to see the UR not being as transparent about this count as they should be.
I'd ask that you maybe yield to Connor, if Connor has any more information about that, or anybody in the gallery that wants to speak on that. I'm not sure I'd add much information in that regard.
I'm so sorry, that might not have been the most appropriate time to ask this, but in case anyone does have information on this, I'll yield to them. If not, I'll just yield. I'll figure it out, and I'll update you next week.
Senator, I guess Senator Aronarkin is on the list. Otherwise, I don't see anyone from the gallery. This is something that we can talk about after the meeting and bring up at the next one as well.
Yeah, I do have just like a point about like being transparent with how many cases there are. While it's important to, you know, make sure that if cases are rising, students will take harder precautions. But I feel like we should also consider a point that if the cases are like very low, then students might be more willing to disregard the rules. E.g., if we only had like 5 cases since the beginning of the year, then why should I sacrifice and not go to the party? Not that I would go to the party, because my roommates would kill me. But in general, I yield my time.
Any other discussion for myself or Matt? All right, so we can move into new business. So is there a motion? I would encourage you to, as much as possible, follow this format, particularly not making the motion to approve the fall election results, being very careful with the timing on that one. Senator Tulloch?
May I just motion for motion 45 and 46 at the same time?
You may.
So motion to approve both motions 45 and 46.
All right, is there a second on that motion? It's the motion to approve the Senate minutes from 4/29/20, approving the Senate minutes from 8/31/20. I assume that's the motion you were making?
Yes.
Senator Tome? All right, is there any discussion on this motion, which is to approve these 2 sets of minutes? Senator Tulloch?
I yield.
Senator Salimi?
I'm sorry, like I have nothing else to add. I was just gonna second the motion.
Okay, is there any other discussion? All right, so we can move into a vote by hand vote. Actually, let's do a roll call. So would the Deputy Speaker please call the roll?
Yes, give me 1 second. I thought we were going to do a unanimous consent.
Sure, why not? Let's do unanimous consent. Is there any dissent on the motion to approve both of those sets of Senate minutes? Seeing and hearing none, it passes. Senator Srangasa, are you expressing dissent or are you waiting to say a motion?
Hello, everybody.
Waiting to say a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to motion to approve Gregor as Deputy Chair of the International Student Affairs Committee.
All right, is there a second on that motion? Senator Arnarkin?
I would love to second this motion.
All right, is there any discussion? I can turn it over to Sakile if you want to give a little overview as well as Gregor.
Yes, so we have been searching for a deputy for a while now, and let me turn my video. We've been searching for a chair now. That's Mike and I to come on board, and Gregor was one of the people that was like suggested to us by a couple of people. And so we went through an interview process. We went through a resume, like, you know, we asked Gregor to send a resume. We asked him to, you know, interview with us. And we also asked him to write a cover letter on why he wants to be here. Pretty intense. We wanted to make sure that, you know, we have someone on board who wants to work. We wanted to make sure that, you know, it's something that he's just so much into that we're not going to have problems. And we decided that he was the strongest candidate. And so we were happy to welcome him on the team a few days ago. And thus that's the motion. Also, I'm sorry. So I also just want to credit Iman, who was working with us throughout the summer, unofficially as deputy chair. She's been awesome, and we've been, you know, working together. We've been working together on so many projects, and I'm happy to still be working with her in the Senate in her capacity. Thank you.
It's a feeler.
All right, Gregor, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Add anything to that?
Well, yeah, just a few words. So basically, I guess, hi everybody, I'm Gregor. And, you know, a few reasons why I want to be part of this committee basically is that well, first of all, I'm an international student myself. And I really, you know, especially in this time, this is when I realized, you know, during the whole COVID era, I realized how much it means to actually have a good access and establish a very good connection of how to, or a way of how to communicate with administration so that, you know, international students can have basically all their needs met, because they're clearly different from somebody who's domestic in terms of basically a lot of ways.
All right, is there any discussion or questions? Seeing no further discussion, we can move into a vote by roll call. Whenever the deputy speaker is ready.
Sure. Senator Arnarkin? Yes. Senator Baker?
Yes.
Senator Bila? Sorry, Senator Bila?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Cosme?
Yes.
Senator Leong?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Nadeem?
Yes.
Senator Nadeem? Oh, okay. Senator Nshagasa?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez?
Yes.
Senator Rogers?
Yes.
Senator Salimi?
Yes.
Senator Tom?
Yes.
Senator Tulloch?
Yes.
14 yeses.
All right, congratulations. Motion passes. Welcome to SA government. All right, is there a motion? Senator Salimi.
Motion to approve Rosama Hawk as Deputy Chair of the Campus Services Committee.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Arnarkin?
I second the motion.
All right, can turn it over to Sabit and Rusama.
Yeah, I can generally go over the thought process behind having Rusama as the deputy. She and I have an intense amount of experience working on issues before even we were senators and in government. We have a very good working dynamic, works very well, and she has a very thorough understanding of issues, A, that surround campus, B, how to deal with them, and C, how to delegate tasks, but also team management efficiently. What on top of that is sort of like the cherry on top is the fact that she also understands, like we sort of have a very good dynamic whereby she knows when to call me out on my bullshit and when I know to be called out otherwise. And I think that's largely it. If anybody has any questions, anything they need to ask or get clarified, feel free to do so. But I think Rusama is an amazing leader. And I genuinely believe, I don't think anybody on Senate doubts that right now. So approve her and let's get things rolling.
Rusama, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just talk a little bit about why I'm interested in the position. Hi, everyone. I'm Rusama. Over the summer, I was working on a lot of things along with Sabit and personally, and a lot of the things that Campus Services was working on largely, especially during COVID and catering to the needs of students. Especially, I felt like this committee was something that I was drawn most to because of the projects that are being largely worked on. And I wanted to be involved. So I felt like I wanted to sit on Campus Services. And as far as the deputy chair position is concerned, I feel like I have a lot of experience delegating tasks, as Sabith has mentioned. I am a vice president on 2 other e-boards, and I feel like as deputy chair, a big responsibility is to make sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing and that everything is happening efficiently, because it's a pretty short semester and we want to get things done as fast as possible. So yeah, I'm super excited to start working with the committee. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you. I yield.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we can move into a vote by roll call.
Senator Arnarkin?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
Yes.
Senator Bila?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
I
Yes.
abstain.
Senator Cosme?
Yes.
Senator Leong?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Nadeem?
Yes.
Senator Sharngasa?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez?
Yes.
Senator Rogers?
Yes.
Senator Salimi?
Yes.
Senator Tome?
Aye.
Senator Tulloch?
Yes.
13 yeses, 1 abstention.
All right, the motion passes. Congratulations. Welcome to your new role. Is there a motion? I see hands. Senator Liverpool.
Hello, thank you. I motion for Isabel Vechetto and Amanda Martin to sit on the Administrative and Review Committee as legislative advisors.
So the motion that I hear is that you're motioning to approve those 2 folks as legislative advisors on the Administration Review Committee. Is that
Yes.
right? Is there a second on that motion? Senator Shangasa?
I second the motion. Sorry, I second the motion.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Also, could you mind putting the names in the chat? Do you want to introduce them?
Yield to Eden.
What was that?
We're in discussion on the motion to approve the legislative advisors for ARC.
Yeah, okay. We had our first ARC meeting last Wednesday. We did a little bit of training, but then also we did interviews for analysts because we are a party of 3 currently. So we need analysts. So we did hiring and the committee approved these 2 people. They're great. One of them has already sat on SORB, so they have some understanding of what ARC does, which is great. And then the other one is really willing to learn and like knows a lot about SA.gov. So yes, approve them, please. Any questions, let me know.
Any questions or discussion? Are either of them here to say anything? Okay, any other questions or discussion? All right, so we're going to vote by roll call. I'll give Matt a second because I know this was not one of the motions on the agenda.
Okay, Senator Arian Arkin,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Abila, Senator Abila, Senator Hawk,
Yes.
Senator Cosme,
Yep.
Senator Leong,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
I abstain.
Senator Nadeem.
Yes.
I'm gonna try. Senator Shangasa,
Shangase.
Shangase. Okay,
You got it.
Shangase. Is that right? All right. Okay. What was your vote on that?
That was a yes.
Okay. Senator Ramirez,
Yes.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Dome,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch.
Yeah.
I
12
just want to say
yeses.
yes because I guess my interconnection was bad. I don't know if you heard me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
13
Senator
yeses,
President.
1 abstention.
All right, the motion passes. Congratulations to them. Is there a motion? Senator Rogers?
Motion to take from the table, motion to take from the table the motion to approve the bill to fix inconsistencies in prior bills and government documents.
All right, is there a second on that motion? Senator Liang?
Seconded.
Is there any discussion? Do the writers of that bill want to add anything from previous discussions?
So it's now been approved to be taken from the table, and we're now in the motion to approve.
You're correct. There is no discussion on the motion to take from the table. You're correct. So we're going to move into a vote by unanimous consent. This is specifically a motion to take this from the table. So if this motion passes, you will be able to discuss this bill and its contents and vote on it during this meeting. So a yes vote, well, it's unanimous consent. So if you dissent to discussing this tonight, then you can say so. Otherwise, we will move into the second half of this motion as a new motion, which is the motion to approve the bill. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand the clarification that Typhoon was making there? All right, so is there any dissent on the, well, yeah, is there any dissent on the motion to take from the table the motion to approve the bill to fix inconsistencies? Seeing none and hearing none, we will move into the main motion, which is the motion to approve the bill. Because that motion was made at the previous Senate meeting, we don't need to run through a motion and a second and all that detail. But we're now going to go into discussion on the bill. So now I can turn it over to the bill writers.
Yeah, so Victoria or Senator Liverpool and I resolved any questions she had. In terms of the actual legislative text, there were minor clarifications, but nothing that actually would have affected the bylaws themselves. So that's it. Nothing more to add.
All right, are there any questions or points of discussion? Seeing none, we will now be voting on the motion to approve the bill. And we'll vote by roll call whenever the deputy speaker is ready.
Senator Arinarkin,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Billa,
Yes.
Senator Hawk,
Yes.
Senator Cosme,
Yes.
Senator Leong,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
Yes.
Senator Nadim,
Yes.
Senator Shangase,
Got it. Yes.
Senator Ramirez,
Yes.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Tome,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch.
Yes.
14 yeses.
All right, so the motion passes. So now we're going to go into any other motions that senators would like to make. Senator Rogers.
Thank you. Motion to take from table to, motion to take from table, the motion to approve the bill to increase accountability into association government.
All right, is there a second on that? Senator Liang.
Seconded.
Is there any discussion? Nope, did it again. We're going to vote by unanimous consent. So is there any dissent on taking this from the table and discussing it tonight? Seeing and hearing none, it passes by unanimous consent. So we're now in the motion to approve the bill. Is there any discussion now on approving the bill? Again, I can turn it over to the bill writers to discuss.
Okay, so thank you. Okay. So the reason, rationale for the new senators here, the reason we kind of created this bill is to clear up the kind of discrepancies we had in the accountability processes within the association. There wasn't clear language about, let's say, the rule processes, the way to keep us accountable to the public and make sure we advocate and do the best and the darndest we can to do what's best for the students. We just make sure there are clear process that only for ourselves, for the public, how to keep those who are representing you in check and accountable. Basically, the crux of the reason why we created this bill and is clarifying those points. But Amanda, adding more if I missed it.
I have nothing to add. I think everything that needed to be said was said last meeting. And I think the only reason this is here is because the bylaws mandate that this needs to sit on the table for 1 week. So, yeah.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion to approve the bill? Seeing none, we'll once again move into a vote by roll call when the deputy speaker is ready.
Senator Ari Narkin,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Bila,
Yes.
Senator Hawk,
Yes.
Senator Cosme,
Yep.
Senator Leong,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
Yes.
Senator Nadim,
Yes.
Senator Shangase,
Yes.
Senator Ramirez,
Yes.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Thome,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch.
Yes.
14 yeses.
All right, so the motion passes. Is there a motion? Is there a motion? Senator Hawk.
Motion to take from the table the motion to approve statement of support for Center of Education Abroad's decision.
Is there a second on that motion?
Yes,
Senator
I second the motion.
Shangase.
I second the motion.
All right, so we're going to move into a vote by unanimous consent. Is there any dissent on discussing the motion tonight? Seeing and hearing none, we will now move into the main motion like we have for the previous bills. Is there any discussion? Again, I'll turn it over to Ya if there's anything to add.
Yeah, so the statement has changed a bit. I've taken into consideration the feedback that I got the last meeting and things that you guys have reached out to me with, which I appreciate. And so essentially what it contains now is a bit more background as to why this decision is so important, and all the things that I mentioned in the last meeting. I don't want to be repetitive, but now that is a little bit more explicit in the bill. I mean, in the statement. Sorry, it's not a bill. It's not a bill. We're not doing that. So there's that. I do want to sort of reiterate the purpose of this. And so for me, as a senator, I think that it's equally my job to, respond to student feedback when criticism is needed, and also respond to student feedback when praise is earned, right? And I think doing this serves the SA and also the student body in a way that not only increases our credibility as people who are very aware of the campus and student needs, both when they're good and when they are, and both when things are good and when things are bad, and when things were bad and then they were resolved. So we care just as much when they're resolved as when there's conflict. But it also just improves our relationships with offices, right? So if something happens in the future where we have to, work with this office to improve something, which is the origins of this statement. Initially, it was a statement to say, please do put in some work to make this dual enrollment happen. When we have to go into that space again, hopefully there will be a precedent of, okay, we understand that when SA comes to us, it can be positive, it can be negative, and therefore we know it's not just a pattern of young people being angsty. It's a pattern of young people investing in their community and investing in betterment, but also investing in what's good.
All right, do you yield? Senator Shangase?
Yes, so I want to sort of commend Senator Baker for her efforts and her work on putting this bill. After the meeting last week, 2 weeks ago, we were able to meet and sort of work to discuss ways that we can push this forward as, a bill that, a statement that could potentially further build our relationship with the office, and certainly as ISAC, that's something that we're going to be using this for, even like unofficially so. So that's like, if you read the statement, you're not going to see that listed specifically, but we're happy that we've been able to work together to sort of figure out that like small ground where this can be used to further advocacy and to further representing students in this office. So I'm very happy that we've been able to work it out. I know last week was a bit like, it was, yeah, there was a little bit of tension from my part and like unnecessary passion, but we're able to talk through that as well and fix it and sort of like come to a conclusion of how you know, we can work to support, like, statements that come out of SA can have a little bit more teeth and can have a little bit more of purpose in terms of like how they actually help build SA's reputation, but also build relationship with other offices. So I'm happy that this bill is created, and I'm looking forward to working with Senator Baker for many in many more. Thank you. I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion on the statement? Seeing none, we can go ahead and vote by roll call.
Senator Arnarkin,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Bile,
Yes.
Senator Hawk,
Yes.
Senator Cosme,
Yes.
Senator Leong,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
Yes.
Senator Nadim,
Yes.
Senator Shangase,
Yes.
Senator Ramirez,
Yes.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Tome,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch.
Yes.
14 yeses.
All right, it passes. Is there a motion? Senator Ramirez.
Motion to approve the fall 2020 election results.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Salimi?
I second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? If Fred is here, I can turn it over to Fred. Or not. Senator Liang?
I was just wondering, so after we approve the first year senators into Senate, they would then become part of the vote, and then I guess all of the thresholds would change. Is that correct?
Can you clarify a little more?
Because I believe there are still like approval related voting below the.
Oh, you're saying do the people who would take their spots as senators count towards the vote totals?
Yes, correct.
Yes, they would. Also, if a senator would be so kind as to motion to amend the motion to be a motion to certify, I believe that would be probably the most prudent way of doing it. This isn't technically an approval. I think that was a mistake in the agenda. Senator Salimi?
Motion to certify the fall 2020 election results.
So that's a motion to amend the motion to be a motion to certify?
Oh, sorry. So motion to amend the motion to approve the fall 2020 election results to motion to certify the fall 2020 election results.
All right, is there a second on that motion? Senator Rogers? All right, is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Does everyone understand the difference, the approval versus certify? Maybe if someone wants to yield to the parliamentarian or deputy parliamentarian that might be able to explain that a little more too. Senator Baker.
I yield to the parliamentarian and deputy parliamentarian, whichever of you would like to speak right now.
I think either way was fine. This was a change by Alexander, so maybe he would have actually more information about why certifying it is better. I think in past years we've approved. I think that either way is fine.
Senator Baker,
I
you have the
yield.
floor.
I yield to the speaker.
So I'm interpreting a motion to approve as an approval of the folks who were in that election versus the results of the election. So a motion to certify, should this motion pass, we'd be essentially ratifying the election versus an approval maybe construed as an approval of the people on the ballot, not necessarily a certification of the election. All right, any other discussion? We're still on the motion to amend the motion. All right, so we can vote by hand vote. So all those in favor of amending the motion, please raise your hand, either on Zoom or using the raise hand function. And then leave them raised, please. All right, Matt, do you have the numbers?
I'm sorry, can everyone do that one more time?
So all those in favor?
People, yeah, like some people have their
keep
screens
your
off
hands
and
raised.
make an emoji, so I couldn't see what they were doing.
Normally, this is one of the fastest ways to do it when we're in person.
Yeah, like
Maybe on
was
Zoom,
having
it's
trouble
not
with
the best voting approach.
All right. Okay, I think 14 yeses, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so all those opposed, so please lower your hands on Zoom. And all those in abstention? All right, so the vote tally was that it passed. It was 14 yeses. So now we are in discussion on the motion to certify the fall 2020 election results. Is there any discussion on the election? Senator Rogers.
I'd like to say a quick thing. Congratulations to everybody who won. From one fellow first-year senator that does last year, I was in your spot as well. I'm so happy, and I'm so glad to see what you can do, and I'm excited to work with you in the future and going forward. It's going to be one heck of a year, and I'm just love that everybody be enthusiastic and you won, and then you got on board and you're ready to do what you need to do for representative. And I applaud that effort, and I can't wait to see what you do. That's about it. So, congratulations again. I yield.
Senator Arnarkin.
Thank you. Yeah, first, congrats. But second, it seemed that there were posts on social media about people not being able to vote on the second day. So if somebody was like responsible or knows more about the voting process, could you speak on whether you think it had any effect on the final result counts? And I legitimately have no idea who it would be. I think Fred, but he's not here. No one. Zandra, would you be able to speak on that?
Do you want to yield to Justina, maybe?
Sure, I can yield to Justina.
I would have to recuse myself, so I'd prefer not to do that yet.
Mike, could you repeat the question one more time for me?
Yeah, sure. It seemed that there were many students had troubles voting through CCC, especially on the second day. And how do you think it affected the final voting tallies, if you think it had affected them at all?
Yeah, so I guess I could speak upon this a little bit since we had a discussion with leadership, our advisors, the elections coordinator to see what to do. So we noticed that there was issues, I believe, around Thursday with some folks not necessarily being registered, I believe, to the VPN. And then we started to redirect people to Griffin Fox, who is the point person in Wilson Common Student Activities for like essay technical. And any student then that went that step and asked for essentially assistance was assisted. All those concerns were addressed. And as for, I guess, like how widespread it was, we don't really have necessarily good figures on that, but I was only reached out to by one particular candidate. So I don't necessarily know the gravity of the issue, but it's, again, like what I want to emphasize is Griffin Fox, Wilson Common Student Activities, tech guy, any issue that was brought forth to him, whether it was like an individual student not necessarily getting their VPN, to connect to even get the ballot, like that was worked out timely so that those students could vote. So I don't know if anybody else from within leadership wanted to speak on that. I don't know if Fred's on the call, but that was definitely something we were like talking back and forth on. But overall, the majority of the consensus was that it didn't warrant any intense concern, but I'll yield.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Justina. I guess I'll just yield to the floor.
All right, is there any other discussion, questions? Seeing none, we can move into a vote by roll call.
Senator Arjen Arkin.
Abstain.
Senator Baker.
Yes.
Senator Billa.
Yes.
Senator Senator Hawk.
Yes.
Senator Cosme.
Yes.
Senator Leong.
Abstain.
Senator Liverpool.
Yes.
Senator Nadim.
Yes.
Senator Shangase.
Yes.
Senator Ramirez.
Yes.
Senator Rogers.
Yes.
Senator Salimi.
Yes.
Senator Tom.
Yes.
And Senator Tulloch.
Yes.
12 yeses, 2 abstentions.
All right, so it passes. Congratulations. And the new senators would normally be in person taking their seat at the table. But congratulations, welcome to the virtual Senate environment. And congratulations to everyone who won and who participated in the election. So we will now open it up to any motions. Is there a motion on the table? I recommend that for these motions, you motion for 53 through 59 in one motion, but it is up to you. Senator Salimi?
So can I like mention for all of the committees in like one motion?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I'm gonna do this right, but motion to approve Andre Teleg and Mira Sali as senators on the Academic Affairs Committee. Motion to approve Victoria Liverpool, Walid Nadim, Mackenzie Yun, and Noah Hathaway as senators on the Administration Review Committee. Motion to approve Rafael Ramirez and Blaine Dillingham as senators on the Appropriations Committee. Motion to approve Sabit Kazmi, Osama Hawk, and Yab Baker as senators on the Campus Services Committee. Motion to approve Saqile, Nadim, and Mike as senators on the International Student Affairs Committee. Motion to approve Iman and Leah as senators on the Student Life Committee. Motion to approve Devon Rogers, Victoria Liverpool, and Amanda Liang as senators on the Elections and Rules Task Force.
All right, is there a second on that motion? Thank you for that. I actually prefer that you said it out loud. I know some people were typing in the chat about 53 for 59. If you'd said it that way, I would have interpreted it as you were saying all of it out, but I appreciate your effort in doing that. Senator Tom?
Oh, I
Is there a
second that. Sorry.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Senator Shangase?
No.
Any other discussion? I assume that was a accidental thing. Senator Hawk?
No, I didn't do anything. Sorry. I forgot to lower my hand from before. Sorry.
All right. Senator Baker?
That was a low-key mistake, but I do kind of have a question. Did you just not, are we like not appointing people to committees that don't have chairs right now?
So appointing senators to committees is something that is a little bit, it doesn't necessarily require a chair. It's my role to decide based on the preferences and opinions of the individual senators on which committees they want to sit on. I sort of appoint them to different ones, and then they're confirmed or approved rather by the Senate. So as for the official meeting, like an academic affairs committee meeting, for example, that can't happen without a chair in place. But I think having senators, my choice to appoint people to the committees that didn't have a chair was more to allow the senators to continue to collaborate and work on projects and advocacy for students, such that our bureaucracy does not inhibit your ability to serve the student body. So that was the reasoning behind having even the ones for the chairs.
Sounds good.
Any other questions or discussion? Also, I've been asked to clarify a couple things. One is that every committee needs 2 senators and every senator needs a committee. So that is the reason why these are appearing here, is we're required to have them. There's also a question about chairs being approved if they've already been approved. So a senator can be approved as a chair, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the chair is approved as a senator on the committee. They are a senator and they are a chair, but not necessarily a senator on the committee. So this is just a way of acknowledging that you are in fact a senator on the committee. It's a very bureaucratic thing. Happy to turn that over to other people if they want to discuss that more. All right, so seeing no further discussion, we can move into a vote by roll call.
Okay, new senators. If I pronounce your name wrong, please tell me. Clearly, I'm having some trouble tonight, so let's go. All right, Senator.
That's a good reminder too that for the new senators that there's a yes, no, or abstention. That those are the 3 vote choices. And a yes would be approving it, no would not be approving, and abstention might be a conflict of interest or otherwise unable to vote yes or no.
Yes. All right, Senator Arinarkin.
Yes.
Senator Baker.
Yes.
Senator Bille.
Yes.
Senator Dillingham.
Yes.
Senator Hawk.
Yes.
Senator Hathaway.
Yes.
Senator Cosme.
Yes.
Senator Leong.
Yes.
Senator Liverpool.
Yes.
Senator Nadeem.
Yes.
Senator Shangase.
Yes.
Senator Ramirez.
Yes.
Senator Rogers.
Yes.
Senator Sadi.
Yes.
Senator Salimi.
Yes.
Senator Thome.
Yeah.
Senator Tulloch.
Yes.
Senator Yoon.
Yes.
18 yeses.
All right, that motion passes. Is there a motion? Senator Hawk.
Do we have till 59, so it's 60 now, right? Sorry?
Correct. Like
Okay.
you're asking if we've approved
Yeah.
up through 59?
Yeah, I was just making sure. Motion to approve Isha Mardikar as the SA representative for the Undergraduate Student Advisory Board.
All right, is there a second on that motion? Senator Tome? Is there any discussion? I assume you second. Is there any discussion on the motion? We can turn it over to Justina.
Perfect. Okay. So this was from the email that we sent out this past weekend asking for anybody that was interested in university committee appointments. This is the first round that we've kind of been asked by administration to fill. And Isha in particular reached out expressing a lot of interest in the Undergraduate Student Advisory Board. So I'd like to hand it over to Isha if you'd like to, I guess, speak your interests in the role, maybe even introduce yourself to the senators that might not be familiar with you. Yeah.
Okay, can I just speak?
Yep.
Hi guys, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Isha and I'm the Chief of Staff this year. And yeah, so I read Justina's email and I was particularly interested in being a part of this advisory board because I thought that I had a unique perspective to contribute as not only an international student, but I'm studying remotely from like the other side of the world this semester. So I thought it would be like, you know, a good point of view to contribute into like a lot of the important discussions that will be happening. So I reached out and yeah, I'm really thankful to have been appointed and I'm really excited to get started.
All right, is there any other discussion, questions? Seeing none, we can, looks like there is a member of the gallery. Senator wanted to yield to Micah. Senator Rogers?
I yield to Micah Greenberg.
Yeah, really simple. What does the Undergraduate Student Advisory Board do?
I yield to President Gorka on that question.
Yeah, to kind of, you know, give a general summary, they sort of advise the libraries on particular initiatives, programmings, things of that nature. A lot with the COVID circumstances we're in, probably a lot of also the portions of those meetings are going to be about how to, you know, adjust guidance around libraries in light of COVID, you know, what can be improved, things of that nature. But if you're particularly interested, Micah, I can forward you a charter that you can look at as well. It was something that was forwarded to internal essay, but yeah, that's pretty much the logistics.
Just a follow-up question. I'm curious. Besides, like what's the difference between the Undergraduate Student Advisory Board and the Advisory Committee for River Campus Libraries, except for the fact that one's probably for undergraduate only? Like, what's the main difference between those two?
Let me pull up the charter just so I'm not mixing anything up.
I'm on the advisory board for River Campus Library, so maybe I can expand on that.
Well,
that'd be perfect.
You as Senator Baker.
So the River Campus Libraries does sort of what Justina was just saying. They advise the River Campus Libraries, the Dean of the Libraries, Dean Mavernack, and some of the other deans of the specific libraries. It's much more library focused. It's both students and faculty members and graduate students, and it's just, they try to get a representative body of the intellectuals of the university to get a sense for their needs in the library. The Undergraduate Advisory Board, they also meet with Dean Mavernack, so it can be a little bit confusing. They do overlap. They usually meet in the same week, and Dean Mavernack will talk about the other one to the other one, and it gets kind of confusing, so it's totally understandable, especially with all that Justina is juggling as president right now. But the Undergraduate Student Advisory Board, advises not only the MAGNAC, but also like the president of this, President Mangelsdorf, I believe. I believe the Board of Trustees also comes, but I might be mistaken there. But it's a little bit more university-wide on undergraduate issues in general, and not just the libraries.
Thank you for that clarification. I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we can move into a vote by roll call.
Senator Ari Narkin?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
Yes.
Senator Billa?
Yes.
Senator Dillingham?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Hathaway?
Yes.
Senator Cosme?
Yes.
Senator Leong?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Nadim?
Yes.
Senator Shangase?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez?
Yes.
Senator Rogers?
Yes.
Senator Sadi?
Yes. Yes.
Senator Salimi?
Yes.
Senator Dome?
Yes.
Senator Tulloch?
Yes.
Senator Yoon?
Yes.
18 yeses.
All right, congratulations. Motion passes. Is there a motion? Senator Hawk.
Me again. Motion to approve Rafael Ramirez as the SA representative for the COVID Student Event Regulation Committee.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Salimi?
I second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion? I can turn it over to Justina again, I believe.
Perfect. Yeah. So after the email correspondence this weekend, Senator Ramirez reached out expressing interest in particular in this committee. So the COVID Student Event Regulation Committee, to kind of give some more explanation this time around. This committee in particular is going to be reviewing in-person event proposal requests. So ideally, Anne-Marie Algier, Assistant Dean, one of our advisors, was requesting somebody that also had some experience / will be in ARC or SAC this coming year. We thought that that would be best for this role. And since Senator Ramirez was, I believe, just appointed to SAC, was it? Optimal. I'll turn it over. And if you wanted to say anything, Senator Ramirez, about, I guess, your investment in the committee, or what kind of, plans you have ahead. But
Yeah, of course. So one of the things that really motivated me for this role was not only the fact that I was already interested in being the SAC committee, but also the fact that event planning is something that I've been doing since literally the moment I started here at the U of R through SPB and now class council. So I felt like it'd be really fitting for me in particular just to be involved with this process to review proposals for hybrid and in-person events. And I'm really excited to look to be on this committee. I believe we're meeting on Wednesday. Yeah.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we can go ahead and vote by roll call. And I'd wait just a second, Matt, because I think Senator Baker just popped back in.
She back?
Yep, you should be good.
Okay. Senator Ari Narkin?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
Yes.
Senator Billa?
Yes.
Senator Dillingham,
Yes.
Senator Hawk,
Yes.
Senator Hathaway,
Yes.
Senator Cosme,
Yes.
Senator Leong,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
Yes.
Senator Nadim,
Yes.
Senator Shangase,
Yes.
Senator Ramirez,
Abstain.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Sadi,
Yes.
Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Tome,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch,
Yes.
Senator Yoon.
Yes.
17 yes, 1 abstention.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Senator Tulloch.
Motion to approve Isabel Murphy as the SA representative for the advisory committee to the River Campus Libraries.
All right, is there a second on that motion? Senator Rogers?
Okay. So kind of same spiel. Thank you, Senator Baker, for that explanation of the committee earlier. So everybody's on the same page. Yeah, Isabel Murphy reached out saying she was interested in the role, and given her prior experience with an SA in liaison roles and her involvements on campus, and it made sense. So I'll keep it short because we are nearing towards 11. I was, want to pass it over if Izzy, you had anything you wanted to add, or
just that I'm excited to be on the committee and kind of, again, like act as a liaison between SA and student body and the library administration. So yeah.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? Any questions? Seeing no further discussion, we can go ahead and vote by roll call when the deputy speaker is ready.
Senator Arnarkin,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Bila,
Yes.
Senator Dillingham,
Yes.
Senator Hawk,
Yes.
Senator Hathaway,
Yes.
Senator Cosme, Senator Leong,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
Yes.
Senator Nadim,
Yes.
Senator Shangase,
Yes.
Senator Ramirez,
Yes.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Sadi,
Yes.
Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Tome,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch,
Yes.
Senator Yoon.
Yes.
18 yes.
All right, congratulations, motion passes. Is there a motion? Senator Cosme.
Motion to approve Mark Haddad as the co-chair for the University Flag Committee.
Is there a second? Senator Salimi.
I second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion? I can turn it over to Justina and Mark.
Yeah, so I'll just give some introduction to preface, and then I'll have Mark take it away. So essentially, the University Flag Committee was co-chaired last year by former President Jamal Holtz of the Students Association. Again, this was in relation to concerns on the arrangement of the flags and seeing how best we can, take in student feedback to reevaluate how those were placed in Hearst Lounge. Of course, the flags, as we all know, were taken down. So, solidifying the co-chair is one of the steps to hopefully start that committee running again. Also, with the applications officially closed for the undergraduate Flag Committee Sub-Advisory Board, that's inevitably something that the chair will have to look through once, approved. So as soon as we can, solidify details on that, we can start moving along the process of getting those flags back up in the Hearst Lounge. But yeah, that's essentially the spiel. I'll let Mark take it over if you'd want to explain why specifically you want to be the chair of the University Flag Committee, what you bring to the table, you know, any kind of ideas I guess you have in mind for this role. Go for it.
Sure, I can go ahead. So at first, when we kind of talked about it and see like how we're going to transition, Justina and I thought like how my involvement with like the international student life and like basically over the past 3 years, how I've been a lot like involved in all of things also related to the Flag Lounge. I've been talking about like a lot of different petitions and a lot of different things that have come up, and I've been kind of very involved in the process. So I'm very excited, to say the least. I've been looking at like the applications that we've been getting in, and I think that through my involvements, I am like very capable of kind of going through and helping form the committee with the other co-chair to kind of go like as fast as possible with the process, make sure like everyone's voices are heard, and make sure that the kind of concerns that all the students have had over the past years in the Flag Lounge and the Flag Committee kind of finally be resolved, because this is an issue that the community basically on campus has been facing a lot for more than just a year. So I'm excited kind of to see what I can do and what the other members of the committee can do. And yeah, I guess if you guys have any questions, I can answer those. I yield.
All right, Senator Liang.
Yep. First question. How familiar are you regarding the nuance between the Chinese flag, the Hong Kong flag, and the Taiwanese flag being displayed publicly in the Flag Lounge? And then second question related to this is, how will this factor into your decision to select applicants to sit on a committee that will make these decisions?
Okay, so obviously this is like a very, very huge concern. That's kind of part of the reason why a lot of issues have kind of come in the past. The only way to kind of go through this is very, very clear communication between all sides involved in this. And I think that's something that's missing over the past year. People haven't really been communicating together. They've just been kind of yelling at each other. I'm not going to kind of say more than that, but there have not been clear communication at all when it comes to that. So that's kind of a main focus that's going to be before like we even set up the members, to make sure like there's sides of all the story. There's like someone from every single side talking and like hearing and kind of seeing which points we need to take into account, which points make sense, which points don't, what should be relevant for the campus community and what is kind of beyond the point. There's a lot that needs to be mentioned there. So if I want to like go in depth, I feel like that could be a conversation on its own. So I wouldn't want to like go beyond with like my explanation. I don't know if that like made a lot of sense, but there's a lot that could be said there.
Senator Liang, you have the floor.
I think it's really important to note that I don't believe clear communication is going to solve the problem of some students believing that a flag of a group of students, a group of different students on this campus, is hate speech. I think that it is incredibly important to realize that to some people, a flag is an intense political statement that they feel affronted by. And I don't think that clear communication is going to get around that. And I don't think that we are going to be able to literally like come to a consensus. I think that this disagreement is always going to exist. And the challenge here is that you will still need to make a stand, regardless of what that is, whether that's no flags at all, some flags and not others, or all flags. And that's incredibly important. I yield back to the floor.
All right, Senator Shangase.
Yeah, I just want to highlight the sort of role of ISAC in this whole thing. I think that, you know, we've been having a lot of conversations with ISO and different offices about this, and I just want to say that I think it would be important to sort of loop us in whatever conversations that you're having, that you're going to have. I think that's going to be important. And I guess, you know, just putting out there that we should work together in this, and that I think that we can come up with something solid. And just to touch on Amanda's question, it's very it's like that there's a lot of nuances, and whatever situation, whatever solution that's going to come out of this, I imagine it's not going to like satisfy everybody, but it's important that we get close to that ideal. And I think that working together, we can try to do that. I yield.
All right. Is there any other discussion on this motion? Senator Liang?
I yield to Mark, Vice President Haddad.
You can say Mark, it's okay. I just want to reiterate, like, what you said is 100% right, but I feel like constrained whenever like I see the timer going by just to see what I want to mention. But like a huge part of this is also like, of course, going to be like consulting with like AS&E students and like kind of hearing that feedback, hearing what kind of people are saying about this. Because if this was an easy solution, if this was an easy fix, it would have happened last year, it would have happened in previous years. So it's very obvious that like not everyone's going to be content, but it's important to kind of look where our students are and what they're thinking. And yes, I have a stance. Yes, the rest of the committee will have a stance. I don't think like this particular meeting is a place where I can kind of say all of these points. But like getting the feedback of senators, getting the feedback on ISAC, and working with Sakile and the rest of the committee will definitely be like one of the strongest suits of the subcommittee. So like I'm very, very excited to actually do that, and feedback is going to be a very important part of it.
I will say one last, oh, sorry, are you done?
I yield back to you.
I just want to say one last thing then. So since you are making the decisions, or you are part of the decision-making group that is going to be selecting people on this committee, will you at least say on the record that you will not shut out the voices of Taiwanese and Hong Kongese students?
100%. I will not shut up the voices. I cannot willingly do that, and definitely not. Anyone can quote me on this.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. I yield back to the floor.
All right, Senator Baker.
Yeah, so I'm just sharing this so it can be on record because we spoke because we're talking about flags and stuff. I put it in the chat. I do hope that you're approved, and if you do get approved, obviously you're anticipating having lots of conversations with people from different perspectives. I'm just sharing. I hope that you put the same effort into sort of hot topic flags as you do to lesser discussed flags. Obviously, I think the Palestinian flag will absolutely come up in your hot topics, right? And have fun. But also there's like indigenous flags, and then whether or not the flag committee decides to represent Puerto Rico as a country, things like that. There's a lot of different political statements that are represented in flags, as Senator Liang was saying, and I just don't want any of them to slip through the cracks. Obviously, some of them do merit more attention just because of who is the conflicts represented on our campus between students and their contexts, right? I just don't want that to take away where other issues are merited as well. I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion before we vote? Seeing no further discussion, we're going to move into a vote by roll call.
Senator Ari Narkin?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
Yes.
Senator Dillingham?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Hathaway?
Yes.
Senator Cosme?
Yes.
Senator Leong?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Nadeem?
Yes.
Senator Shangase?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez,
Yes.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Saudi,
Yes.
Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Tome,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch,
Yes.
and Senator Yoon.
Yes.
17 yeses and 1 abstention.
All right, so that passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Senator Rogers.
Motion to approve the bill to define university bodies and external representatives.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Saudi?
I second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion? Senator Arnarkin? Well, at first I can turn it over to the bill writers to discuss a little bit about it. Then we can go into general discussion.
Thank you. So I'm not gonna say it hurt from you a bit today, but I'm speaking more again. Sorry. So this bill just looks to clarify the processes. So not processes. What is a unit body and what is external representative. For years, we have appointed people to different university committees, but or commissions, or whatever, etc. But there's been no clear naming for that within our governing documents. Just so there be not only transparency, we have transparency, accountability, and also there's no discrepancies within the government documents. This bill looks to clarify processes of which people are on university bodies and or external representatives of the SA government and anything that encompasses that. So that's short, simple. I mean, you may have questions. Let me know.
All right, do you yield?
I do yield.
All right, Senator Arnarkin, did you have things to add or questions?
I yield.
Okay, is there any other discussion? I'll point out that this does need to sit on the table for a week because it changes the bylaws. So at some point, a senator will need to make a motion to table the motion to approve the bill to define university bodies and external representatives. Senator Arnarkin?
Motion to table and whatever you just said.
Motion to table the motion to approve bill to define university bodies and external representatives.
Correct.
All right, is there a second on that motion? Senator Rogers? All right, is there any discussion on, can you clarify for me, Typhoon, is there discussion on the motion to table? It's just the motion to take from the table, it doesn't have discussion, right?
Yeah, you can, I think, discuss motion to table, I think.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion to table? Per our governing documents, the bills that change the bylaws are required to sit on the table for a period of time before they're brought up again for a vote. So this is just the standard procedure for that. Seeing no further discussion, we can vote by unanimous consent. Is there any dissent on the motion to table this? Seeing and hearing none, it passes. So it is now tabled. Is there a motion? Senator Rogers.
Okay. Motion to approve the bill to change election rules task force to be an ad hoc committee.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Liang.
Seconded.
Is there any discussion? Can turn it over to the bill writers.
All right, so this is a bit of a bureaucratic bill, but the intention is to make this fit better within our governing documents. So to be a little bit technical, I don't think that it was perhaps like necessary and proper within our Constitution to approve a new type of legislative body that could have been done through an ad hoc committee. There's also practical concerns of there are some requirements within the Senate PPM, for example, which require that committee chairs publicize meeting minutes. So if I, as parliamentarian, am the chair of this task force, that really doesn't apply to me, but I think it should apply to me. I think that I should be publicizing meeting minutes. There's plenty of other concerns within it. I know it's a bit of a dense read, but if you have any questions as well, you can also feel free to ask. There's also some various clarifications on how ad hoc committees work so that hopefully within the future, they're more often utilized.
All right, is there any other discussion? And once again, you're free to discuss this bill. Otherwise, at some point, a senator would need to make a motion to table. Senator Rogers?
Motion to table the motion to approve the bill to change the election group task force to be an ad hoc committee.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Liang?
Seconded.
All right, so is there any discussion on the motion to table? Senator Salimi, did you still have your hand raised?
Oh, I just have a question about this motion. So, why did you have to make it a committee and not just clarify the task force?
Well, so currently we're in a motion to table. So technically the discussion is about whether or not this bill should be tabled. However, I will allow Typhoon to answer that question as an inquiry as to whether or not we should be tabling or continuing discussion.
Okay. So there was, within Senate Bill 25, which established this, there was some various statements that said, to treat the Elections and Rules Task Force as if it was a committee, or to treat the parliamentarian as if they were a committee chair in certain circumstances. But as I have been reviewing the governing documents, there are more circumstances that weren't, I don't think, fully considered. For example, publicizing meeting minutes not applying to the task force. So I think that it would be a bit monumental to have to go through and make sure that it said committee or task force chair in so many different cases. And there's a few other concerns, but I think that it's easier and everything works out all right if it's just an ad hoc committee. It accomplishes the same desired goal of Senate Bill 25. I yield.
Okay, thank you. I yield too.
All right, is there any other discussion on the motion to table? Again, this does have to sit on the table, so if a motion is made to take it from the table in a future Senate meeting, then that would be a time that you could bring up further discussion, assuming that motion passed. Seeing no further discussion, we're going to vote by unanimous consent to table this bill. Is there any dissent on the motion to table? Seeing and hearing none, this passes, so we will have that as a motion to take from the table in a future meeting. Is there a motion? Senator Arnarkin.
Yeah, so I didn't put this motion before, but kind of motion something which is not the motion to adjourn.
You can, yes.
Okay, so I hope it's constitutionally allowed. I motion to approve Iman Slimi as the SA representative for the fraternity sorority liaison. And if somebody seconds, I'll explain why it wasn't on the agenda before.
So you are making a motion to approve Iman Salimi as the, just to clarify, it's fraternity sorority affairs liaison?
Correct.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Baker?
Yes, a second.
All right. Is there any discussion? We can turn it over to Senator Arnarkin to give an intro.
Yeah, thank you. So originally when Justina sent out the SA representatives seats for committees, both Iman and I applied. but we just had a short discussion during Senate, and I retreat my candidacy. So by the virtue, Iman is the only candidate, and we have the first presidential meeting on Wednesday. So we might as well approve her for the position before the first presidential meeting. Yeah, if there are any questions, I think Justine will be able to talk on that, or Iman, if there's anything else.
Just want to second everything that was mentioned. Yeah, there was two, Mike and Iman, that applied for the position, and essentially we're trying to determine who is the official rep. So thank you, Mike, for coming to that conclusion. Thank you, Iman, for discussing it. It's great that it worked out because, again, yeah, like Mike mentioned, the presidential meeting between IFC and Panhellenic organizations is happening soon. So it'd be good to have a SA representative also at that meeting. Iman, I don't know if you'd like to speak on why you particularly wanted to become the liaison or anything that you're going to bring to the position, but feel free.
Yeah, thank you, Justina and Mike. Yeah, I would just like to say, over the summer, I worked with a couple of other senators about steps we can take to reform about Greek life and stuff like that. I was working with a couple of other senators, and this is something that I've been interested in for a while. And so when Justina sent the email with the position, I was I can see myself bringing something to the role and going to the meetings and then bringing back updates and hopefully working in a positive way with IFC and Panhell to find a better productive way to move forward with everything going on. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. I yield.
All right. Any other discussion on this motion? All right, so we can go ahead and vote by roll call if the deputy speaker is ready.
Senator Arian-Arkin?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
Yes.
Senator Dillingham?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Hathaway?
Yes.
Senator Cosme? Senator Leong?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Nadeem?
Yes.
Senator Shangase?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez?
Yes.
Senator Rogers?
Yes.
Senator Sadi?
Yes.
Senator Salimi?
I abstain.
Senator Tome?
Yes.
Senator Tulloch?
Yes.
Senator Yoon?
Yes.
16 yes, 2 abstentions.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Senator Hawk.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second on the motion? Senator Tome. Is there any dissent on us adjourning? Seeing no dissent, we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Here.